You mentioned something when you started. You have three lovely children and you're mentoring them. At what point does mentoring start?
I think that from for children, it starts from birth in many ways, and people wonder, like, from birth, does the child really know what's happening? But our children actually absorb everything that we do, right? They look at us, they see how we move, how we talk, how we act. And that's what mentorship is. It's setting an example for someone else, guiding their behavior, guiding their actions, guiding their values. And for children, that starts from birth. It's unconscious, but it's happening. So I think it starts right from the moment your child is born. They have a special mind. That's nobody teaches them how to walk. They learn how to walk by watching people in their environment. If sometimes I watch my son and my husband, they even walk in the same way. Like my husband didn't consciously teach him to walk like that, but by watching him, his dad, he walked like that. So mentorship starts for children from the moment they're born. Their parents or their primary caregivers are usually their first mentors.
As I say, children, go ahead.
Yes, there's something you just said that your child was like looking at the father and started walking. I didn't think so. And just like my, I don't think, for me, I don't think so. I think that it has to do with hereditary. Your child is something like you, not because you're walking like that, but because there's something else that is bigger
Well,
than that.
it's not like a specific limp or anything. It's just like a style of moving. It's, for example, I'll just give another example. So, have in a home where maybe you want to close the cupboard and you don't use your hand, you use, you just are always using your side to push it in. Your child will start
Okay,
doing
I'll give
that.
you an
It's not
example.
hereditary. It's
I'll tell
just
you. I'll tell you something. I was born like somebody I didn't know in my father. So at the time when I went back to my father as an adult, when I was getting married, they have always said your father is someone else. And then this time I wanted to get married, so the truth was like coming out. So when I went there, so there was a day I was eating over. The way I was eating is somebody said, I said, wow, just the way the father used to eat it.
That's DNA.
So it's not like I knew, I've never even seen him eat guava before. But at that moment, somebody was pointing out the fact that the way the father ate it, that is, I'll eat the inside and throw the other. That was how the
That's a
inside.
strong DNA.
everybody says. I mean, like there's that
No,
argument:
I'm just like,
nature versus
Yeah,
nurture.
yes.
Both of them play a strong
Yeah.
impact. There's no argument about that. They're definitely parts of the child that come as part of nature,
Nature.
yeah.
from their DNA. But there's no argument. Like, I mean, if you raise an Indian child in Nigeria, they'll have a Nigerian accent. It's not,
Yeah.
it's from being around people, it's from
Sure.
absorbing the environment, and that's what I'm talking about. But from being in a home, a child will absorb
Sure.
the values of that home,
The
the
ambience.
actions, if a child I mean, like, we always say that we want to surround our children with beauty. A child who grows up in an orderly home will probably try to, regardless of where they find themselves, try to create order, try to create beauty. So there's definitely nature, but children are mentored from whatever environment your child is born into. Even the environment mentors the child. Where, it's strange
Wherever,
to say
yes,
that, but
yes.
everything in the environment becomes
Yeah.
somehow a part of the child from the moment they're born.
Sorry, I'm like not really agreeing to some aspect of it. For instance, now, maybe we need to go back, maybe after this program, we'll go back and then come back the next time. When you talk about a child being a product of environment, it's not by the way that, like my voice, somebody, I'll call somebody on phone, the person will say, she's speaking just like the elder sister. That's not environment that is playing that out. It's nature. Now, if you're talking about maybe what a child can pick from environment, you understand, is building up your that child's personality. Personality is what environment plays out. For instance, a child that is born in a place where they don't go to school, you understand, she might, or they don't read, the parents don't read, she will not be able to have time to be reading. But if a child grows up in an environment where people read, that child will also learn how to want to read.
Yes.
So that is what I can understand. But if you're talking about the other aspect, nature, playing that role of building up a character, you need to teach me more. You know, you're a teacher.
So what she's saying, right? Both of you have your points. But what she's talking about is the fact that in the home, what you see affects you, influences you. And I'll tell you, for example, when I was growing up, my mom, before I got into secondary school, my mom, my first mentor, right? And my mom was very prim and proper, very sweet, beautiful, and does everything, works well. And she always talked to me about walking right and things like that. And she insisted I go to Queen's College, because that's her. And again, I got into Queen's College. So we're talking about home, and we're talking about environment. And in Queen's College, the first thing they tell you, maybe the principal at the time, Mrs. Kafara, will say, you're all queens. So that gets in your head. They teach you how to walk. They teach you how to talk. They teach you how to sit right. These are things that my mom had always imbibed in us and had taught me, okay, so I'm an only daughter anyway, so maybe let me say me. And so that sits with you. And I don't know if they still have it, because even when we're younger, they say, oh, Queen's College girls. First of all, you walk tall, you sit straight, you talk properly. These are things that have also, it's not just sort of flows, so which is what you're saying. So these things just come with you and sort of falls in line with who you are and where you're coming from. And so it adds to who you are. So you're mentored from the house, from your home to your school, your environment. And then, of course, by the time you're after a certain age, you're already formed. So you now have values set, you have beliefs, and things that guide you. And you will always sort of come out back to remember where you're coming from. The basis for me is very important. If we get it wrong at the early stage, a lot of times the reverse is important, which is why the family still remains the first unit. Exactly. And the parents, a lot of times, sometimes because we're carried away with economic pursuit, we forget to actually pay attention to that. I still want to believe that if we parents can redirect our eyeballs to the family, it will be better for us because the children will learn better. Then the other one is, I always want to make a distinction. I'm going to throw it back to you, Toots, because I know you're a life coach here. At what point, what's the difference really between role model and mentors? So a mentor is someone that actually shows you what to do. You're sort of, there's a communication. Yes, so there's communication. There's one-on-one. A role model, you just look up to the person. Like I said, my mom was my mentor, right? But I had would I say role model? Because I was growing up, I loved Margaret Thatcher. So I looked up to her, and she was like my role model. My mom is already there. She's teaching me what to do. She's letting me be who I want to be, or who she wants me to be, right? So a mentor, you want to be like your mentor. She teaches you to be like who she is. But your role model, you admire your role model and you want to be. And so there's no communication per se. There may be, but then you just want to be because you look up to the person. I would like to be like this person. Yeah.
I feel like you could have one person be a mentor and role model at the same time
as well, yes.
But you could also have someone who's just the role model without necessarily mentoring you directly. I think mentoring is a direct relationship. It's a conscious choice in a way from one person. It can be a conscious choice from a mentor to mentor a mentee, or from a mentee to seek out the mentor to guide them.
Yeah, so most of the time the mentee, you have to, because I'm not sure that mentor would pick. If I just pick you to mentor you, it doesn't. If you're not receptive, it's not going to flow.
I'm thinking about again. My thought process is always children. We choose to mentor our children, whether you're a parent or a teacher or like a guidance counselor. You don't force them, but you can kind of interest them. You can buy their interest. You can guide them. You can. There's a way from a mentorship perspective that you make it appealing to them, but it's usually the adult's choice, not necessarily the child's choice. So from that perspective.
But when you're already old, if I would talk to somebody now, the person has to be ready.
Right.
Exactly. So if you don't want the help. All right, so you're going to add something?
Yes, I was like trying to imagine, think out something, like I would like say that, okay, mentors are supposed to be parents because that is your first foundation. So when the foundation is wrong, every other thing could be wrong. And of course, when we talk about mentors, we talk about the home and also the school. But nowadays, we have teachers who just want to go and teach. Unlike before, where we have teachers who really have passion. Because I believe in anything you want to do, you must be passionate. It is the passion that brings out the best in you.
Yes.
So, as a teacher, you are you own a school, you're the thing, but you also employ other people. You understand? And then, like me, the people that taught me when I was growing up, I still do have so much respect for them. I just keep seeing them as if they were second God to me. Why? Because they kind of impacted my life, and they didn't see any error. You know, those days, teachers, you must do it the way that your students or your pupils will not even see anything to say about you that is negative.
Mm-hmm.
So do we still have those things in the school teachers now? Okay, for instance now, as I was growing up, like I told you, I was my own self, you know, born here and there, working myself, nobody to leave me. But I used to read a lot. There's this book I was reading, Lace. You know, that Lace, it had so much to do with my life. So I was really admiring that girl, how she started from a nobody as an orphan girl, left, abandoned by the parents and all those stuff, and she was suffering all her life alone. So I built up that admiration. So she was not like a mentor, but in me, I was seeing her as somebody I wanted to be like, because she started from small and became, yes, and became a model. That is, she became a big celebrity. So every time I always have that at the back of my mind, that I want to be like her. So I was not opting for anything less. I just wanted to be a guy just there, you know, building myself to that top that I was dreaming of. And somehow, I don't know how, you know, everything I've ever thought of being in my life, I looked at people, I loved them, I admired how they did it, and it was working out for me. So if I said that, oh, I had a mentor, I didn't have one. The only time I could say I actually had a mentor was when I went to the Bible school, and just one woman, a particular family, I admire them so much. Why? Because we are human beings. Even if I have you as my pastor, there might be things I'll see that you do, you know, that are wrong. So I cannot say because my pastor is a pastor and is supposed to be a role model to others, and then I'll pick you as my role model because you have not impressed me. You know, that this woman actually impressed me. And I used to, maybe I call her, we call her then a Christian mother. You know why? Because you can have a lot of things to say about others, but herself, you will not.
Okay. You know, a lot of times, what you just mentioned during the breakup, somebody mentioned that he does not have a role model, and that's because a role model failed him at a point. And of course, he even went aggressively. Nobody should look up to me because I too, I am human. Now, I kind of felt, do I say sympathy or empathy? I think all of that for that young man, because he must have had something that really hurt him. It's far beyond that. It brings me to, wonder, at that points for me, I have changed role models several, I've changed mentors several. If you mentor me and your NAFDAC number expires, I move. I look for another one. And sometimes I have more than one, two at a time, mentoring me on how to cook, mentoring me on how to be a lady, mentoring me on different things. In broadcasting, I've had all of that. Our president is having reaction. You're recalling your past days and what she went through growing up. I know. So we're not going to let you do that. But I know how it feels, growing and struggling. There is a tissue box there. We can let you have it to assist you. Thank you. Okay, so like I was saying, when your role model begins to fail, we should know when your objective is no longer there. How do we move away to avoid imbibing the wrong thing?
I'll let the life coach answer that one.
The truth is, first of all, you start, when you start with reflecting from where this happened, what happened, why were you so, why did I believe so much in this person? Then you start to ask yourself, who am I? What is it all about? Because, like she said, we're all human beings. That guy on TV, he was really upset. What did they do to you? But where are you now? And truth is that change, they say what the only constant thing in this world is change. And I'm happy that you said, your role models can change. Your mentor can change. Let them be who they are. They are human beings. But you concentrate on yourself. Who are you? And be true to who you are. And then start asking yourself questions. What am I all about? What do I desire? She was in church and looking up to somebody. What do you want for yourself? She read books. I want to be like this and I want to be like that. For yourself, who are you and what do you want? So you start to answer your own questions as opposed to somebody else's life. So you realize that I can be me. Yes, we were brought up to be like mom, to be like dad, to follow in the way that our teachers taught us. But then at the end of the day, like I always say, when in your school you come out, I want to be a doctor. And then you even start becoming a doctor. You realize that, oh my God, I don't really like the whole medicine thing. So who am I? I don't want to know. I want to bake. So be true to who you are and be happy in who you are. So you need to find a state of happiness and contentment. When you're content with what's going on around you, then you start to blossom. If you're not content, so that's why that man on TV was quite angry, and he's like, I don't want to be a mentor to somebody else.
So that don't mess up your life. Somebody once asked me, how come you go to church every Sunday, you try to take the back seat, you never go in front? I said, I don't want to see the preacher as a man or a woman. That's man generic this thing. I don't want to see the preacher as a human being. I just want to hear the word of God because I know the preacher is an embodiment of flesh and blood and capable of failing. And if I begin to look onto the preacher, I may not be able to take out. So what am I saying? Let's just try to take the positive things about people and drop the negative things. And let me get back to Ijeoma Merigwe. I know it's an emotional. I know it's an emotional moment for you.
Yeah, somehow because it's something that touches my life. You understand, and I know that there are a lot of people, young people, that are also going through what I went through in life. You understand? Some of them never made it, and some of them did. So it's something that maybe when I want to talk about it, I try to cast my mind back to how I was able to get to where I am right now. And like she was saying, it's not like if I know of some parents that were smoking, they knew that their first child has come into the world, they stopped smoking because they didn't want their children to be like them. You understand? So it's not everybody that sometimes you have mentors, but I look at mentors as people who should be that is near perfect. I didn't say they should be perfect, there should be near. There may be things you're doing, but don't let the people that are looking up to you to see those things because you will cause them to fall. And when they fall, it becomes difficult for them to stand again. Just like me now. Maybe I say, like you just say, you go to church. Why are you sitting at the back? Why are you not trying to see the pastor as a second, like a small God that God has brought your way? It's because there may be things you have seen or heard that is making you feel that way. And you're just going there because you just want to go there. But actually, it's not supposed to be like that. Because I know that when growing up, though it was difficult for me, but I used to see the altar as if God was dwelling there. I just feel that. And when I enter the church, there's this fear that used to grip me that God is there watching over me. And if you read my book, The Long Journey Home, it's on Amazon. If you read, you see where I wrote that there was a time I wrote a letter to God. Yes, I actually wrote a letter to God. Why? Because I was passing through a lot, and there was nobody to talk to. So as I was passing, I saw a church. I said, wow, I could write a letter to God. I went and looked for a long notebook. I tore it out and then started writing a letter. He did reply, and that is the reply that you're seeing now. He did reply. I wrote a long letter to God. So that's how it is.
Okay, now you mentioned the church. I'm still going to get back to you, and then I will attack the school as well. Somebody already started the journey for me. The church is one place a lot of us go to when we seem to be at a crossroad, when we are depressed, when we are looking for one problem or the other. We always feel when we go there, there's solution. How has the church actually helped, especially the youth, in mentoring them? Are we doing it right? Because we feel if we get the if they participate the way they should, a lot of things will go wrong. When I mean church now, it's not just church. I mean
It's
religious organizations.
Well, I've dealt with youth for over 12 years. I've been their mentor, and it's not easy to mentor them, because these young people, they come from different background, and culture. And some of them also are from such a background like my own. You understand? Some of them, most young people are from the streets. The ones that are actually outspoken, they are from the streets. You understand? They grew up from the streets. And what will you do? They didn't bring themselves into the world. It's just that they are trying to find themselves, who they really are. Now, in the church setting, if a pastor, for instance, you have young people and you have a young person that is close to you, and that young person that is close to you happens to know a lot of that you drink, yes, that you carry women, that you chase after women, they open your phone and a lot of things, you have destroyed that person's life. It's to be impossible, and the story will go from that one person to the next person, and that's how the story will be going around. And that is why most young people do not believe in the things of God again. And why is this? Why and how will you know that? Because they will run from one church to the other. They are not looking for God, they are looking for fun. They sing, they play, they move around, and all those things. We have not been. When I'm not talking about. I mean myself inclusive, because I'm a pastor, I'm a preacher, and I owe God, to bring these young people to God the way it's supposed to be, not to destroy their lives, not to be, it's not too much talking. It is your action that will heal them.
Yeah.
Yes, your action. I told someone, I said, if I made the president of Nigeria, I will rule this country with three things: love, care, and concern. Everybody needs these three things, especially the young people. They are so naughty that it takes courage and love to be with them. I'm telling you, young people can come to your house as a preacher. They eat. After eating, they leave the house. What do? Why? They come. You're sitting down. You are sweeping. They will carry their legs up for you to sweep.
I'll use the broom.
How many of them will? So there will be a broom. Then there will be a time they will begin to do what will I call the comparison. They say, this one is like this. Oh, this mommy. No, this mommy is really, really a woman of God. Or this daddy is really, really a man of God. So if we are able to put ourselves together and look, you are the first person that young person needs to want to be like. But I've heard stories now of young people who are serving pastors, and pastors are struggling girlfriends with them. So what do you expect? It's not about, these are the things that are happening. These are the things that are happening, and when they happen like this, we fail them. So we are trying to say that if we must be mentors, because after the family is the church. This is it. Apart from the school, after the family is the church, and after teachers, don't they go to church to look up to the pastors? Is it not so?
So you're still reading the ball to your court. Let's find out. Teachers, growing up for me, the fear of your teacher was the beginning of wisdom. Yes. And it was for me is that my mother was a teacher. So I had it in the house, I had it outside. But these days, some people seem to think it's different. I don't know. I was asking to a few persons, they told me it's because we stopped calling the female teachers Miss. We call them aunties now. The male ones, we call them uncle instead of sir. So I don't know, but there's something missing.
I've actually never thought about it from that perspective. In my school, the children actually do call us Miss. Like I'm called Miss Junifer. The teachers are called Miss or Mister. I think that unfortunately, in a Nigerian context, education it went through a place. It went through kind of a decline where I think in our parents' time and even in our time, teachers were regarded very highly. They were regarded as mentors, they were looked up to. And then somewhere along the line, it became what people did if they didn't get a job, or what they did if they didn't go on the path that they wanted to go on. But I think that's changing. I think the narrative for education is changing again. People are coming into education who are passionate about it. And I think with mentorship, I think people can sense, because you have to care about your mentee, and a mentee can sense if you care about them. And usually mentorship works when a mentee senses genuine care from their mentor. And I think for a long time that's what was missing. Children in school daily, also as part of my mentorship, because I want my teachers to see how I interact with my work, how I interact with the children. So for me, it's a form of mentorship for the teachers. They can see that I'm going through what they're going through daily. They see that I'm doing it. So if I'm doing it, whatever I'm asking you to do, I'm doing it too. So I'm not asking of you what I'm not doing. But I find that the teachers that are teaching these days, they are interested in being there. They do genuinely care for the children. I think that the narrative is shifting again. I hope. I interact with. I think so.
When we were in school, and we had as soon as you were being enrolled, they had guidance counseling units, and every teacher was assigned to some students. They paid attention to you outside of your academics. And I noticed with time, maybe for your own establishment it's a bit different, but I ask questions. Most schools don't have that.
No.
Most schools don't have that. And especially in the public schools, really, the teachers are only concerned about welfare of themselves, not the distinct. How do you begin to remedy that? Because that's when you begin to implant the zeal to acquire wealth rather than build your personality in the children.
So I think that, again, within our context in Nigeria, I get it. Like, I'm not going to judge anyone. I mean, I think in the public sector, for example, in the public schools, it's difficult. If you're supposed to spend, you're supposed to run your life, pay all your bills from 30,000 or 20,000. It can be challenging to think of anything else. I'm not excusing it, but I see how, you're thinking about other ways to supplement your income, but I feel like from a overarching perspective, teachers who are there want to do, they want to do the work that they have been called to do, which is mentor children, guide them. But you can't give what you don't have. You have to take care of yourself first. So I think the government needs to mentor teachers by paying them well and taking care of them, so that they can do what they are called to do.
I'd like to say respect and a sense of responsibility. As we growing up, or besides us, even in homes nowadays, we should learn respect and remember that respect begets respect. So I respect you, you respect me, and you go outside and you give it. And a sense of responsibility in the sense that whatever I'm doing, I should do it with all my ability, loyalty, and integrity. So then that helps somebody else that's looking up to you. If you can respect the next person, they will respect you. And they see what you're doing, and they see how well you're doing it, and you're doing it from within, with all, we're talking about love, care, and contentment, consent, and things like that. So the sense of responsibility. What is it that you're doing? What is the outcome of what you're doing? How is it impacting the other person? That is so important.
I'm going to still come back to you to find out qualities of a mentor and qualities of a mentee. But I'm told now that we need to pay some bills. Let's take a break. When we come back, the show continues.
want to talk about rights, there are obligations. I'm not saying that this government is a saint, it's very far from it. But there are things that we can do to make it better, and that's the challenge I'm throwing to you. You don't want to build this nation? I don't know where else you want to go. If I had a choice, I'll come back. When I stand outside and I hear what you have to say about this country that I know that I can die for as one, then I'm really sad because you're young. You have education. You have tools. You have a huge future ahead of you. And you're condemning yourself before you started on that journey. So please don't do that. Please don't.
All right, the show is Conversations, and we're still looking at mentorship. I see a lot of questions and suggestions coming in here. Let's quickly take maybe one or two, then I come back to you to tidy up. A child emulates and copy whatever we do in their presence. Parents are the first mentors of all children, so let's be careful what we do in the presence of our children because they copy whatever we do. From Hamid Babatunde. Thank you. You didn't tell us where you're writing it from, but the next one says, good morning. A mentor is a person who you learn from and who teach you good things in life. Definitely. And let's, okay, somebody's sharing our president here, Ijoma up and says, forget it, God has done it. Obi from Port Harcourt. Let's skip the messages for now and quickly take on where we stop. I was asking, I said, a lot of times we do not even know the qualities of a mentor, even when we are playing the role. What should we be doing as mentors to people? Why I asked that is I was reading up something somebody said. He said they ask you to make sacrifices, you say you don't do sacrifices. Even when it's a simple thing as answer your call, reply text messages. You say, I'm not the call type, I'm not the text type. It's called sacrifice for people you care about, not necessarily love, you care about. After all, Jesus, in spite of all your sins, he went and died on the cross. Is he the dying type? So, what are the types of our qualities of
I talked about respect and responsibility, but then there's something that is so key is character. Character is who you are. Character is what will take you wherever it is that you're going. Every other thing, face value. So the character of your mentor, right, should speak volumes. It's something that it shows right from when you come in. And how do you light up the place? Is your mentor encouraging you? Encouragement is so important. We're talking about guidance, counseling, and all of that. And then how do you communicate? Putting somebody, lifting a person up, putting the person down. How do you applaud the person?
That thing is very important. Some people, you make mistake, they talk to you as if you're a footmat. Footmat in a public place, actually.
And that has destroyed you. It just brings you down. You walk with your head down as opposed to. But then somebody tells you, oh, that thing you did so well, but you could have done it in this other way. So you sort of, the person understands that, okay, I didn't do it right. Or you say, you know what, and as a mentor, you say, you know what, I would have done it this way. So that's a mentor. So I could have done it, but for me, with life coaching, we don't do I could have. But that's the difference between mentoring and coaching. So a mentor will let you know that, look, this is what you should do in this way. So the person's character should speak volumes, and you should be able to build people in their space as opposed to in your own space. You are who you are. So you need to recognize the person's own worth and value and the person's personality. So those three things will come up and form that person, as opposed to, yes, I'm your mentor, be like me.
Mentorship sometimes is unconscious thing.
Yes, but when you have chosen
parents.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I love what she said about meeting them in their own space, because that's what I think about for children, meeting them where they are. often we have in our mind a picture of what we want our children to be, and we want to create them a certain way. What I found from this work is that, and I think that that's what mentorship does. The work as a mentor is actually in improving you improve yourself too. Well. Because you're trying to be a better person so you're not trying to change them. You try first to change yourself to be, because they see you. Yeah. They see who you are. They see your interactions with them. They see the way you communicate with them. In the home, you might tell your children, speak respectfully, and then you turn and you yell at your house help. So the work is in yourself first. You say, it's good to be on time, but then you have a meeting with your mentee and you show up late, or
There's something I want to ask. Maybe I'm trying to think the other thing. If, for instance, you are a mentor and then you're trying to build yourself to be like, don't you think that a mentor, like I said, is people who are following you are doing that unconsciously? Don't you think that you need to be yourself? Because people love you and you become their mentor because you are
yourself.
Yes, I think you should be yourself, but you need to wait. Humans, we have a need for self-perfection.
Yeah,
you're constantly improving yourself. I'm not asking.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm not asking you to change and become someone else. I'm asking you to be your best self always. Yeah. You're showing up as your best self always. Don't ask of people what you're not willing to do.
I agree with this one now.
That's the same thing I said before.
I agree with you, because if you must be my mentor, you don't need to pretend to me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You have to be
excuse me. Yes. You just have to. Like this woman, I'm telling you, she doesn't even know I believe in her as my mentor. But I watch her and try to, follow her up, the things she does and all this stuff. And that's how I was able to say, okay, this one is my mentor. And you know what? Sometimes when I'm doing something and I'm thinking I'm going wrong, I'll imagine in my mind, what would she have?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I think we're actually saying the same thing.
And then another thing I want us to look at is, we talked about government. Now we may be talking about school, we are looking at the private sector. What about the public schools? You understand? So what are they doing there? How do we become of help to them? We are talking about the teachers, they don't have money and all those stuff, they are doing business and all those things. And so what are they supposed to do? Because even the teachers there, even though they are passionate for the work, they also need mentorship. And they also need the government. So, do something. In fact, I used to always believe that government should actually concentrate their money, on those people, educating these teachers, giving them enough money. We keep talking about things that are not too important to us, because the teachers are the foundation. And for any government to do well, education is paramount. So the government should invest more on their teachers, education, and everything. So private sector, they can do anything they want, they can really.
Okay, so she's shaking. She's
always argue to get to a point of agreement.
Yes, definitely. If you're well paid, you work better. Yes. Now, I've seen people walk up to people, young people, middle age, walking up to somebody and say, "I want you to be my mentor." And then you look around, somebody mentioned that his mentor is Dangote. And I said, this person is looking for you. Sometimes the mentees do not even know what they want. Yes. They're looking out for somebody, okay, this person is successful. So let me go and tap in as my mentor is going to pay my wedding bills and all of that. What should a mentee be looking out for before you choose a mentor, assuming you're in a position to choose for yourself?
So this also comes down to you again. Who are you and what are you all about? And what do you want to be? Right? I skilled, for example, my mom after years. I said I had a role model. So who are you? What do you want to be? How do you see life? You can't choose somebody that you don't want to be like, because the person is somebody in society or the MD of a bank that's will give you a loan or promote you in your job. No, because then you'll be fake. We're talking about being authentic here. So you need to move with somebody that you would actually go out and say, that person, when they see the person, I would like to be like this person. He wears his cap properly. He fits into the seat excellently, beautifully well, and things like that. So you look out for who you would want to be like. Choosing those things, like I said, sense of responsibility.
Right, let me
That's
see
a role
quickly.
model.
I think also
Mentor.
someone
That's a
who
mentor.
Is that supposed to be a role model?
I think someone who could
Mentor.
care about you, you know, who they might not care about you initially directly, but they might care about your cause or your success. Maybe someone who's interested in seeing women succeed, or who is interested in seeing young, you know, you could find a connection, someone that you could find a connection with. And I just also wanted to say that it's a skill, right? Choosing well, making good decisions. And all of these things actually start from childhood. So, as parents and teachers, we could actually teach our children from a young age how to choose right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one says my 5-year-old daughter came back from school on her birthday and told me, Daddy, I told my teacher that today is my birthday, and she said, that's your business. What do you have to say about that? That's Igbo from Port Harcourt. That's really harsh. That teacher is harsh.
That's actually
That's what I'm saying about how do you answer people?
trending news.
What does it cost you to say, oh, happy birthday, dear?
I think again, that's very. I should first should say that's very unfortunate because again, children will learn from us more when they sense that we care for them. What's an easier way to show a child that you care about them than just saying happy birthday?
Exactly.
I'm so excited
To
it's your
anybody.
birthday.
All right, so I shed tears when I thought of what Ijoma passed through to become who she is today. But I can assure you, God will take you far beyond your imagination in Jesus. And that's from Apostle Akko Yusuf Gabriel. Okay, I don't know where he's writing from, but that's it. That's what it says here. Father and mother are the primary mentors for science. Has proven that right from the womb, children learn. Yes, true. When they make noise in your belly, they keep quiet. Good morning. Concerning conversation on the ground, my mentor, whom I want to be like, he suddenly changed and turned himself in as if God baffled me. And I started drinking.
God.
Wow. Okay, sorry about that. And somebody says, yeah, again, please tell Ijoma maybe that I love her and I pray, okay, she loves all of us here too. You didn't write your name. So would have liked to know who's loving us like this. Okay, and a lot of accolades here for what we're discussing today, but I really don't have much of time. Just one sentence or two to wrap it up on my neck. So what would you be?
I think it starts from the beginning. We can first be good mentors for our children, and as they get older, 6 to 12 especially, guide them to find mentors in their interests.
Okay? Yeah. Starting afresh. If you lose it, start afresh.
Right?
Your mentor is not your role model. Yes, and your mentor is something that happens unconsciously. So you have to be able to differentiate between your mentor and your role model. You don't know your role model. You may see the person from afar, you don't know the person. So your mentor is number one for everyone.
Okay, I just want to ask, who was your role model? Who is your role model?
I have several actually.
Like me.
in different spheres. You know, I have my role model, Dr. Mrs. Bola Kalijayi is a Montessori school owner in Lagos. She's my mentor from a school owning perspective. Dr. Montessori is my mentor, my role model, and I mentor myself by reading her words. So in a way, she's a mentor to me in education. My mom is a mentor. I think for different seasons and different spheres.
Right.
You have one. Elijah and Elisha.
Elijah and Elisha.
Yeah. Elijah and Elisha.
They're your mentors.
Yes. They're also good at it.
Okay, the Bible it starts as my own. That is when I want to do mentorship. I go back to the Bible.
Can I mention one thing? I know I was gonna. It's just very quick. So three of us mentioned reading. Children can be introduced to mentors by the books that we make available.
Okay,
to
our
them.
time is up. I wish I
talked about the Bible, and also I read a lot of bestseller books as my role model. Those ones.
Okay.
And
All right, so thank you very much. Role model, mentorship, it's important if we must build the right perspective to life. We have right perspective in our mindsets. Choose wisely and always be honest to your mentees if you are mentoring one. For now, bye-bye. All of you are watching me and my mentors, by the way.
Thank you.
This week on Executive Discuss.
I personally prefer to be a stage actor than a film actor.
Why?
Why? When you are a film actor, you have the opportunities of making mistakes and the director can easily say, cut. Okay, can we take 2? And they go to take 3, to take 4. We don't have such opportunities on stage.
Did you get to see the way Ntalive about to post this?
Don't forget to send in your messages.
There's a difference between picking, child, and issue.
That is the can do more with less people.
If we have a better way of addressing these issues, taking care of.
Congratulations, you were able to sign Timo Werner from RB Leipzig.
So you take water before your workout.
People have used their phone, using TikTok to do this like
So like a protest that.
A lot of people don't even have resources.
Hello and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We are broadcasting live from our studios here in Abuja. I am Dennis Adigunloye. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines.
The Ankabaro's program is expected to catalyze the agricultural productive base of the nation.
President Buhari unveils FCT mega rice pyramids, optimistic of achieving mandate of securing food for all Nigerians.
Citizens first. We shouldn't toy with lives of our people. I am very happy, very relieved with this meeting with Mr. President.
Senate President assures Nigerians on President Buhari's stance of not transferring burden of fuel subsidy on citizens. House of Representatives pledges reintroduction of Electoral Act bill. And APC declares February 26th for National Convention. Now the details. President Muhammadu Buhari has left Abuja for Banjul, Republic of Gambia, on a one-day official visit. The president was seen off at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by his Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello, the Inspector General of Police, Director General, Department of State Services, and other senior government officials. While in Banjul, President Buhari is billed to attend the inauguration of Gambian President Adama Barrow following his re-election for a second term. The Nigerian leader will be the special guest of honor at the ceremonies, to be attended by other African leaders at the Independence Stadium, Bakau. President Buhari, along with other ECOWAS leaders, played a leading role in the restoration of democratic rule in the Gambia in 2017 after the former president, Yahya Jammeh, refused to surrender power after losing the election. The president is expected back in the country at the end of the inauguration ceremonies. The FCT mega rice pyramids, considered the largest in Africa, have been unveiled by President Muhammadu Buhari. They are the product of his administration's Rice Revolution drive, powered by the Anchor Borrowers program of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The president described the pyramids as a clear indication that the homegrown policies targeted at securing food for all Nigerians are achieving the desired objectives. State House correspondent Adam Sambu has the details.
The mega pyramids, 13 in number, were built with 1 million bags of paddy rice planted and harvested from states across Nigeria under the Anchor Borrowers program of the Central Bank of Nigeria. They are a fraction of those submitted by rice farmers as repayment of loans collected under the program, symbolizing their commitment to its sustainability. From here, these bags of paddy rice will be moving to rice millers, and the government will track the release of their output to the markets as it strives to not only manage inflation but also grow the rice value chain.
These accomplishments also show that with the right leadership and vision, we can meet any and every challenge in our country. And this must become a preeminent preoccupation going forward.
Mr. President, there is no adjective that is strong enough to thank you for what you have done to this country. And Nigerians will continue to appreciate your presence as the president of this country to the end of time.
Muhammadu Buhari, the significance of the event can be better understood by looking at the various economic strides achieved by his administration through agriculture. He said the Anchor Borrowers program in particular has supported over 4.8 million smallholder farmers for the production of 23 agricultural commodities, including rice, whose production has increased to over 9 million metric tons per annum.
Our gathering here today is no doubt a testament to the fact that the Anchor Borrowers program is working. Our country is making steady and assured progress towards self-sufficiency in food production. As a critical policy of the government, the Anchor Borrowers program is expected to catalyze the agricultural productive base of the nation, which is a major part of our economic plan to uplift the economy, create jobs, and conserve foreign exchange.
The president appreciated the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and the leadership of the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria for the giant strides achieved in the Rice Revolution program, hoping that the FCT mega rice pyramids will just be the first of many to be unveiled this year across Nigeria.
And it is my desired hope and expectation that other agricultural commodity associations that are yet to participate under the Anchor Borrowers program will emulate the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria in supporting our administration's drive for food self-sufficiency.
Chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, and some of his colleagues took turns to appreciate President Muhammadu Buhari for his genuine commitment towards achieving food sufficiency and security in the country.
And it was clear to us that agriculture was going to be the centerpiece of the Buhari revolution.
What is not seen here is those millions of households that today are richer and more prosperous courtesy of your rice revolution.
If you didn't do what you did, starting from 2015, it would have been a very difficult situation for our people because hunger breeds anger.
Awards were later presented by President Muhammadu Buhari to the governors and others for their significant contributions to the Rice Revolution program in Nigeria. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Well, the Nigeria rice revolution has attracted huge investments along its value chains and lifted millions of farmers out of poverty. Key players in the rice industry say the unveiling of the rice pyramids by President Buhari shows that the country has met her target of rice self-sufficiency. Musa Aliu has details.
It was a journey that started 7 years ago with President Muhammadu Buhari sowing some grains in Kebbi State. Statistics provided by the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that as at December 2021, 4,400,000 farmers were financially supported. Integrated rice milling industries increased from functional 6 in 2015 to about 200 in 2021. This has reduced the importation of processed rice from other countries, such as Thailand, to nearly zero.
By 2016, rice imports from Thailand have fallen to just only 58,000 metric tons. As at the end of 2021, they only exported 2,160 metric tons of rice to Nigeria, thereby saving Nigeria foreign exchange and helping to preserve jobs for our people.
With Thailand recording zero importation of rice into Nigeria, the country has pledged to key into the Nigeria's Rice Revolution project. This, the representative said, will include the establishment of milling industries in the country.
Thailand is cooperating seriously with the Nigerian government and any other business stakeholder of agribusiness in Nigeria. So to give them the Thai technology, the know-how of rice production.
We've been having several meetings with the National President of Rice Farmer Association on the area of technology transfer from Thailand to see how we can bring improved seed that is not in the Thailand market.
The efforts of smallholder farmers by key players, including some state governors.
That is why we, as Nigerians, have taken to heart our father, President Muhammadu Buhari's charge, that we should grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
Feeding Africa and feeding Nigeria is a key to success. Banning importation of food, we as lawmakers, we are ready to support any small farmers holders.
As the 2022 dry season commences, the Central Bank and Farmers Association agreed to scale up production as directed by the President. Musa Aliu, NTA News.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan is assuring Nigerians that the Buhari presidency is yet to take any definite stand on the nation's fuel subsidy regime. And therefore, the planned protest by the organized labor over rumors on a proposed removal of subsidy is uncalled for. Addressing journalists after an audience with the president, Senator Lawan stated unequivocally that the Nigerian leader will not transfer the burden of the cost of subsidy to the citizens. State House correspondent Adam Musamba reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari's engagement with Senate President Ahmed Lawan, the first in the new year, was informed by the recent agitations for protest over the widely held belief that subsidy on petroleum products will be removed by man. In fact, the NLC has already concluded plans to hold a national protest on the 1st of February this year. But speaking to journalists after meeting President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors, Senate President Ahmed Lawan urged the Labour leaders to sheath their swords.
I'm happy to inform Nigerians that Mr. President never told anyone that the petroleum subsidy should be removed. I want to commend Mr. President for still keeping this philosophy of ensuring that the most ordinary Nigerian does not suffer in any way. It's not true that 100 million liters is consumed in Nigeria every day. It's not true. It's not. No. We have to find a solution to this. It may not be exactly the way we want as an administration, as a government. So we need to come together to find a solution to this. There must be an irreducible minimum level of partisanship. There is a level at which you should not come down to because of politics. No, citizens first. We shouldn't toy with lives of our people. I am very happy, very relieved with this meeting with Mr. President.
And all things being equal, Senator Ahmed Lawan said both chambers of the National Assembly will pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill on Wednesday and forward it to President Muhammadu Buhari for assent as soon as possible.
And we are happy that at the end of the day, we have been able to narrow down our differences and arrive at a very patriotic resolution that our country must have a new electoral law that will guide the 2023 general elections in the country. And we came to the conclusion in both chambers, across party lines, in a very patriotic way, to say time is of essence in this respect. We should just look at the possibility of opening up the mode of primaries so that you can have direct, you can have indirect, and even consensus. And it's up to political parties to decide which option is okay for them.
President Muhammadu Buhari also granted audience to the governor of Niger State, Abubakar Sani Bello, on the security situation in the power state. The president had recently ordered a major military operation in Niger State, which has faced continued attacks on its communities by bandits and remnants of Boko Haram terrorists fleeing theaters of war in the northwest and northeastern parts of the country.
In January alone this year, we have suffered no less than 50 reported attacks with loss of lives. Within the same period, not less than 300 communities have been invaded by bandits. Number of people kidnapped, 200, including 3 Chinese nationals. We also unfortunately lost some security personnel, numbering 25. But I am very optimistic with the kind of zeal I have seen from our security agencies, all services. I am very optimistic that the situation will be addressed, and hopefully we should get a very peaceful state within the shortest possible time.
The governor, however, made a strong case for Kaduna and Kebbi states in particular to collaborate more effectively with Niger State towards finding lasting solutions to the security concerns. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
You are watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Still ahead. House of Representatives pledges reintroduction of Electoral Act Amendment Bill today. Details of this and more shortly. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the presidency says many political elites in Nigeria are in a hurry for President Buhari's second term in office to end, for them to continue their looting of public funds. A statement by the presidential media aide, Garba Shehu, notes that even though the president will stand down after the election of a successor next year, whether that successor lives up to the exacting standards and example Buhari has set or not, the president's legacy is strong enough not to be dismantled. The successful repatriation of stolen funds from decades of export abroad and their use to fund social, unemployment and welfare programs for the poorest, reforms that have taken the steam out of centuries-long ethnic and tribal disputes, such as the farmers-herders clashes, long used to stoke ethnic and regional tensions by venal politicians for political advantage, and the protection of millions through an effective vaccine rollout program. These are just a tiny handful of the achievements of the president, the statement added. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has denounced as worrisome the escalation in the drone strikes in the United Arab Emirates that's caused explosions and a deadly fire outside the capital, Abu Dhabi. Reacting in a statement to the incident on Monday, President Buhari said such attacks targeting innocent people and civilian infrastructure leading to the loss of lives were condemnable by all reasonable opinions around the globe and should be stopped. On behalf of the government and people of Nigeria, the President expresses deepest sympathies and condolences to the people and the friendly state of the UAE as he urges for continuous dialogue. The attention of the Plateau State government has been drawn to a statement reportedly issued by the National Coordinator of the Human Rights Association of Nigeria, Emmanuel Onwubiko, alleging that President Muhammadu Buhari and Plateau State Governor Simon Bakola have reportedly endorsed a peace treaty between alleged aggressors of Fulani stock and Christians of Plateau State. Special Advisor on Public Affairs to the Governor of Plateau State, Dicket Plang, disputing these claims, said Onwubiko made factless allegations and asked the people of Plateau State to hold their Governor Simon Lalong responsible for unprecedented insecurity in the state. Putting the record straight, Plang insists that Governor Lalong in the past 6.5 years has maintained security as his cardinal priority, adding that he rejigged and revamped the Operation Rainbow, introduced community policing, created Plateau Peace Building Agency, among other laudable achievements. Plang in a statement says Governor Lalong has remained resolute to being fair and just to all citizens in the governance of the state, which has endeared them to him, for which they will certainly ignore the fabricated allegations of Onwubiko and his agency. In another development, Plateau State Governor and Chairman Northern Governors Forum, Simon Bakola has decried the upsurge in attacks on traditional rulers in Nigeria, saying they are an attempt by criminals to intimidate them against exposing crimes within their domains in order to totally subdue the entire population. In a statement by Dr. Makut Simon Macham, Director of Press and Public Affairs to the Governor, Governor Lalong, who was speaking at the annual Sir Ahmadu Bello Memorial Foundation lecture in Kano, said the development portends danger as the criminals seek to dominate the environment and dictate the affairs of society through criminality. This, he said, must be fought with vigor, as criminals must be flushed out in every community. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has commended traditional rulers, especially those of the northern parts of the country, for their contributions in tackling insecurity and peace building in their respective domains. The Vice President gave the commendation while delivering the 2022 annual Sir Ahmadu Bello Memorial Leadership and Good Governance Lecture in Kano. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
With the federal government in its fight against internal and external aggressions and the traditional rulers across the country. The northern parts of the country have been worst hit by the activities of bandits, kidnappers and terrorists. The 8th annual Sir Ahmadu Bello Memorial Leadership and Good Governance Lecture provides a platform to further underscore the role of the traditional institution in engendering peace and security in the country.
The extensive influence within the existing northern traditional leadership is urgently needed today more than ever before. The soul of the North and of Nigeria, by extension, is being contested by some of the most evil and destructive forces in contemporary history. And there are modern examples of the overwhelming human carnage that can result if we do not put up tough collaborative resistance. Mr. President has on numerous occasions reiterated the view that our peace and security architecture must recognize that traditional institutions are our first line of defense against the forces of anarchy.
The theme of the lecture speaks to the revival of northern traditional institutions as an urgently needed habitat for peace and security.
We must rediscover the bridge-building roles of our forebears and speak up for the values that have held us together thus far. We have the moral responsibility of raising a standard for our young people. This includes speaking up consistently for peace and justice, and also listening patiently to their grievances. Our traditional institutions possess all the emotional channels that penetrate far deeper than the most sophisticated surveillance equipment can.
Guest Speaker Justice Sidi Bagay, Emir of Lafia, set the ball rolling by calling for total recognition of the traditional institution as key to good governance.
We must look at the position that the traditional rulers occupy in our society today.
Why did Saldona succeed in his administration? Simple, 2 words: justice and fairness. He gave justice to everybody. He was fair to all.
Plan properly as a community, as a government, and as a people.
Engaging the institution in finding lasting solutions to the current trend of insecurity must be brought to the front burner of policy review.
I think in order to revive this institution, we should also consider contemporary issues in our modern Nigeria.
The Vice President, before departing Kano, paid condolence visits to the families of late Hassan Naive, late Bashir Tofa, and late Sheikh Ahmed. In Kano, Jide Onifade, NT News.
Now, Africa has a lot to offer to investors in the productive sectors of agriculture, manufacturing, and digital trade. But for so many years, the tune was not in sync as trade relations were poles apart between member nations. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area is one of the instruments governments of African countries are using to drive deeper relations through various trade corridors to the intra-Africa trade. Comfort Amodu in this report takes a look at the year 2021. In this regard, what strategies are being deployed to remove barriers to the push for a common market space, with more countries trading under the new economic bloc.
With a market of 1.3 billion people and combined GDP projected to reach $7 trillion United States dollars, trade experts say it is time to position industries to supply the African Continental Free Trade Area. The African Continental Free Trade Area, which presents African countries, especially manufacturers, with the opportunity to expand to new markets in the continent for export of value-added goods and services, was signed on 21st of March 2018 at the Extraordinary Summit of the African Union in Kigali, Rwanda, and came into force on 30th of May 2019. Nigeria signed the agreement on the 7th of July 2019 and ratified it in November 2020.
Nigeria is a huge market, both for buying and for selling, both for export and for import. So it's a huge thing for us, especially when we are struggling with the foreign exchange to accumulate foreign currency in our reserve, and we can also use it to do trade across the sub-region.
Dwindling oil revenue and global economic challenge exacerbated by coronavirus pandemic dealt a huge blow to trade. This pronounced the need for countries to switch into the FCFTA.
We are setting up trade houses. We call them export trade houses. One in Lome, it's a pilot scheme. One in Lome, one in Nairobi. And the idea is just to assess these African markets where Nigerian products will be taken to those trade houses, and people from neighboring African countries will assess them and buy them off.
The idea is to also include the smaller businesses in the conversation, expose them to trade and investment opportunities. Nothing says that KwaZulu-Natal and Abia State in Nigeria, for instance, can begin to exchange information, knowledge, ideas, technology, and begin to do business together all across borders,
And with the opening of the African Continental Free Trade Area, you don't want to become a dumping ground. How don't you become a dumping ground? You must manufacture more, you must produce more, and then you must export.
With the AfCFTA trade negotiations in a second phase, issues around the rules of origin, elimination of tariff and non-tariff barriers, free movement of goods and persons, as well as the need for a common trade currency, resonates as governments look to strengthen the trade pact.
If we are able to trade amongst ourselves with one particular currency, we can then determine what profit margins are coming out of those trades and can go on to even support further entrepreneurs who have goals and visions to create businesses.
We have to prepare not just to open up our economy, but we need to have a certain framework of financial support for SMEs, for startups. They also need to focus. That is very, very important. Without financial support for these companies to export, they cannot withstand the competition.
Though no significant trade has been recorded in the last 1 year since the takeoff of the AfCFTA, the free trade area is expected to enhance investment in African markets, particularly in productive sectors, manufacturing, job creation and digital trade, with Nigeria having a competitive advantage in the newly enlarged market. In Abuja, Comfort Amadou, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We'll have more reports for you after this second break. Please stay tuned.
Owakajola is a serene and quiet community located in Ifelodu local government area of Kwara State. It is an agrarian community with the people practicing subsistence farming. Crops such as cassava, yam, maize, among others, are produced by the people. A community rich in culture and tradition. The people were first located on a hilltop before their present location. However, the quest to seek for survival and proximity to fertile land and water brought them to their present location in the year 1940.
Any day, they will farm and then go back to the hill. But some people just deem it fit that, no, this stress was too much. Let us settle here. And that is why we are here. So the other people remaining on the hill, after some years, they now moved. But instead of moving in our own direction, they move more up of upland than coming down the valley here. So if you are hearing Owonile or Wakajola, just know that historically we are one. That's just it.
The people are very friendly and hospitable to visitors and their neighbors. This is not far-fetched from the various tendencies that today make up the community. History has it that after the first settlers came down from the hilltop and got to their present location, other migrants from other communities came to settle with them for the purposes of agriculture and trading. It was from that intertwined relationship derived her name, Owa Kajola, meaning we have come to prosper together. Owa Kajola is a community blessed with a lot of mineral resources. The community is blessed with precious stones for marble and raw materials for cement. Therefore, the community is highly endowed with natural resources and huge agricultural potentials on which the people can depend on for survival. Owa Kajola hosts a huge tourism treasure that can only be accessed after a conscious effort that requires energy and zeal. The journey to Owa Kajola is a tortuous one due to the almost impossible nature of the road leading to this community that symbolizes unity. Notwithstanding, the journey is both important and essential, as it is to explore the tourism treasure of an unimaginable proportion inside this wilderness, the Owu Waterfall.
Owu Falls is an attraction in Kwara State, located between the twin villages of Owa Onire and Owa Kajola. It's one of the highest waterfalls in West Africa, and it has become a destination to a lot of people, and because it is now in the World Tourist Map as one of the highest waterfalls in Africa.
The Owu Waterfall is located between two sister communities, Owa Kajola and Owa Onire.
Owa Kajola kò mọ tara ẹ̀ nìkan. Bí wọ́n ṣe wí, àwa pẹ̀lú àwọn àkejì wa ẹyọ kan ṣoṣo ni wá, ọmọ ìyá, ọmọ bàbá. Bíbí ẹni tó wà lórí oyè lọ́hùn nísìnyí, ọmọ bàbá mi ni tó wà lọ́hùn nísìnyí. So ìkan ni wá.
I said Owo Onire Owa Kajola. It was a single settlement. But when we separated, question may come that, okay, why are you Owa Kajola and the other person Owo Onire? Okay. Now, when some people settled down here, so those people joining them, they were coming one by one. So immediately those who have settled saw them, they say, so you have come, so you have come. Okay, let everybody come so that we make fortune together. Kajola, that is how we come about Kajola. Owa, that means wa Kajola, come and let's make fortune together. So, then Owo Onire, so that is the original name. So this Kajola can be Owo Onire too, but for the one we attached to it.
The journey from Owa Kajola to Owu Waterfall is 7 kilometers. In this wilderness lies the Owu Waterfall, a spectacular waterfall which nature has endowed and freely blessed the two sister communities. It is a perennial waterfall cascading from a height of about 120 meters, the highest in West Africa. Owu Waterfall forms a pool of ice-cold water at its base, which gives a beautiful landscape and offers visitors a refreshing atmosphere. Owu Waterfall offers a fine mix of awesome attraction as a result of the beautiful scenery, the luxuriant vegetation surrounding its location, and the beautiful landscape, which provides the site with a refreshing atmosphere. One of the unique features of the Owu Waterfall is a cave where a python was said to have been living in those days. History provides that at a point in time, the python crowed like a cock, and as a result of that strange occurrence, it was struck by thunder and shattered into pieces. The cave is said to be so long, and no one knows its length.
It's just a waterfall endowed to two sister communities. That is Owanuri and Kajola. The two are sister communities who've been together, and nobody can lay exact claim on the waterfall. Meanwhile, the exposition of this waterfall is through Kajola. This is a natural waterfall endowed to these two sister communities. And drinkable raw. You see, we have taken out of it now when we came here. And it has no religious attribute. I say, you see, nobody comes here to say, I want to worship first, like they will worship at also another attractions. And the water is ice cold, always. That's among the unique that it pours all the year round. And the rock surface is meticulous. You can see the rock surface. I don't know where in West Africa where you have this kind of rock surface. And you can see the cave. That's the cave. The cave goes so far. I don't know the length it goes, so it goes so far. That's the house of the python. Another uniqueness of this forest is that there is no harmful animal. No harmful animal. You can come at any time of the day. You can visit this water at any time. So at a point in time, if they are supposed to be in afternoon, you see the formation of rainbow at that rocks. Harmless rainbow here. So those are the uniqueness of this water.
Lagon Hill, with its attraction, is another interesting feature, not far from the site of the waterfall. It provides a pleasing sight for tourists and visitors alike. During the days of war, Lagon Hill served as a place of refuge and protection for the people of the community and the neighboring villages. On the hill is a cave where the people can hide from their adversaries. Indeed, the Owu Waterfall is a breathtaking attraction, not only to Kajola, but also to Kwara State and Nigeria. Surely, Owu Waterfall is a place where visitors and tourists can have a great and enjoyable moment when they visit. With these huge potentials, which the Owu waterfall presents to Kwara State and Nigeria as a whole, one of which is being a profitable holiday resort, this tourist haven begs for better attention to give it a facelift in terms of accessibility and infrastructural development so that its potential can be fully tapped and maximized.
What limits you? Nothing. Who defines you? No one. Where can you go? Everywhere. With unlimited super-fast internet access, free Ntel to Ntel calls, and crystal clear quality conversations, you can do and be whatever you want to be. Ntel. Live more.
This road leads from Saluisin to Owakajola, and it's about 16 kilometers from here to Owakajola, where the Owu Fall is. And this road is created by Owakajola because we are using community efforts to make this road motorable to every vehicle that plows this road. It's over 15 years that we have been doing community effort to make this road motorable. We are expecting the government to come to our aid.
The challenges is known to everyone. There's no access road. The environment is not developed. It's been abandoned. It's been an abandoned tourist attraction, and we're looking at how we can harness the untapped resources there. So in doing that, we've spoken to a number of investors. A number of them are actually interested in developing that tourist site. And we know that as a state, we're also committed to fixing the road, because without the roads, it's going to be difficult for anyone to visit that tourist site. So all the challenges we are aware, and we're also trying as much as possible to provide solutions for that.
While the community has made several efforts at constructing passable road and bridges to the site, there is a need for the government of Kwara State to take up the responsibility of the construction of the major 33-kilometer road from Okeonigwe through Isonluisin to Owakajola as an urgent matter, which will help in opening up the community and the waterfalls with the attendant spiral effects.
There's nothing one can do without developing a road. If government develop over, definitely the road will be developed. And if the road is developed, there are other multiplier. It has a multiplier effect, spread effect of such development. Now our land will be opened to commercial farming agriculture. At present, we have some people doing it, but so many people are willing to come. But because of the rugged road, they cannot come. No, if Owu Fall is developed, definitely people will come. Now, it will be easier for them to evacuate their products to the town and then bring another or purchase other goods that is of benefit to the community. That is one. Two, the cost of transportation from Owakajola to any other area, to Isanlu, Ilorin, will be reduced because there will be more people plying our roads. There will be deduction in the travel time. Now, if we spend maybe 2 hours from Ilorin to this place, definitely if the road is good, it will reduce the hours of trip. And the reservoir can be used for another useful things.
One good thing, however, is that the master plan for the development of Owu Waterfall is already contained in the state policy thrust, which includes the provision of cable cars at the site. This is to help take tourists from Owa Kajola to Owu Waterfall on the one hand, while other tourists may want to drive to the location by car. This will provide options for tourists and generate revenue for the state. Furthermore, the provision of the cable car will take tourists through other places of interest, such as Lagon Hill, and the extensive vegetation and wildlife in the area, thus providing additional memorable experience for them. The need to construct a hotel for accommodation and provision of conference facilities for national and international business organizations on the one hand, and governments at all levels on the other hand, for summits, workshops, and conferences, as well as retreats, cannot be overemphasized. The hotel should have world standard facilities with full complements of presidential suites, standard gym, and swimming pool, among other essentials. Although there is an accommodation facility provided at Owa Kajola by a member of the community, there is still a need to provide more to meet the needs of the different categories of tourists. As part of the master plan is the need for the provision of recreation facilities for adults and children, as well as mini zoo and botanical garden at the sites. Provision of security is essential in order to fully secure the place and ensure preservation and protection of lives and natural environment, as illegal loggers are already undermining the sanctity of the environment, while the government and communities are working hard to provide electricity to Owu Waterfall. The process needs to be accelerated in order to open up the place better and faster. Another important need for the development of Owu Waterfall is the provision of communication facilities to enhance contact and relationship with the outside world. After all, the world has become a global village. It is also advisable that sporting facilities be provided and an international long-distance race be instituted as a result of the terrain of the place to draw attention to Owu Waterfall as a tourist destination in Nigeria. In fact, Owu Waterfall can serve as a training camp for Nigerian athletes in preparation for major sporting events such as the All-African Games and Olympics, especially those whose special areas are long-distance races. These, among other things, are required in order to make the Owu Waterfall a foremost tourist destination in Nigeria. When these are done, then Kwara State can boast of a place in the international tourist calendar of the world. Moreover, the internally generated revenue of the state can then soar with the influx of tourists into the country through Kwara State and the community, especially as the country seeks to diversify her economy. These will stimulate the local economy of the community, which will become vibrant as a result of stimulation of production of artworks, local cuisines, agriculture, and buying and selling of local artifacts and some other products. Again, more people can then embark on large-scale farming, knowing fully well that good motorable roads will enhance the evacuation of farm produce from the farms to the markets without losing their goods and without delay. It will also reduce wastage and time spent on the road. It is then that the Owu Waterfall can take her place as a treasure in the savannah and indeed a pride to Nigeria and the West African sub-region. The Owu Waterfall, located in Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State, is undoubtedly a wonder in the wilderness.
This is NTA International.
This vaccine is safe and it has been certified safe and usable by NAFTA.
The people of Igbaroke were filled with joy, love, and happiness, and they came in their multitude with lots of excitement to show solidarity and cheer the Olowa of Igbaroke Kingdom when he returned with bountiful harvests of new yam from Igbo Idashu.
We have stepped up the form of celebration. Jesu Festival has been one of those things that I feel we should thank God for bringing it into our life, because it's just like putting a bite of a little bite of yam inside the soil, and it brings you a big tuber of yam. So it's something we need to celebrate. It's something we need to thank God for it. Jesu has been the main festival that has been celebrated in ages, in those days by our forefathers.
The way Akabiesi package it and give it more glamour and showcase certain cultural activities that we have to the world, you understand, has made many home and abroad to really participate in this Yam Festival.
The uniqueness of the New Yam Festival in Igbaroke is the royal procession led by His Royal Majesty Oba Dr. Francis Adefarakanmi Agbede Ogidi III, from the farm through Iloro to Oja Obada, then Ayetoro to the palace of Olowa of Igbaroke Kingdom.
You need to let the people know that as a leader, you have to show a good example that I appreciate God for what God has done. Then the people will follow. They will not just think that it's just something I can send people to go to the farm and bring and start eating. We should appreciate God by doing it, because it's by going to the farm, doing that myself, it shows that, well, telling God that, well, I appreciate you, so that He can give my people, myself and my people, more bountiful harvest every year.
During the time of New Yam Festival, the Oshomo of Igbaroke will have to send a message, a mystery to the Olowa of Igbaroke to let him know that it's time for the New Yam Festival.
The new yam is cooked, roasted, and pounded in the evening at the palace.
The Olori of Ogidi, they have part to play in the Yam Festival. They will follow me to the farm. They will not leave it for me alone. They will join me to go to the farm together to follow our husband.
The Jeshuolowa Festival is getting bigger and better. The indigenes of Igbaroke Kingdom will continue to use it not just as a platform for cultural celebration, but a medium to promote growth and development of Igbaroke Kingdom.
Every year, tourists from the world over troop to Nigeria in their thousands to experience firsthand the marvels of the African continent.
I love Nigeria.
Nigeria is beautiful.
I love Nigeria.
With natural and man-made tourist attraction.
Nigeria is a beautiful place. Nigeria is good.
The tourism sector is a preferred industry to a sprawling savanna of the north and the thick mangrove forests of the south. Nigeria has very great potential for eco-tourism. With more than 350 different ethnic groups, each with very rich cultural heritage, this land offers the very best in cultural tourism. Wherever you look, there's a great sight to behold. Put simply, Nigeria is a heaven for tourists. The climate is hospitable.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
I am a Nigerian. I am 1 in 5 Africans. I am a Nobel Prize winner, a soccer champion, a giant of literature, a musical icon. My roots lie in the dusty Sahel of the north, in the rich rainforests of the east, in the savanna plains of the west, and in the oil-filled swamps of the delta. My strength flows from the waters of the Niger and the Benue. Nigeria is my home. I am the voice of 200 tribes speaking more than 200 languages. I am the laughter of the world's happiest people. I am my brother's keeper. I am a child in one of the youngest nations on earth. I am the passion. I am the soul of a continent. I am a Nigerian.
President Muhammadu Buhari. They are the product of his administration's Rice Revolution drive, powered by the Anchor Borrowers Program of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The president described the pyramids as a clear indication that the homegrown policies targeted at securing food for all Nigerians are achieving the desired objectives.
A testament to the fact that the Anchor Borrowers Program is working. Our country is making steady and assured progress towards self-sufficiency in food production as a critical policy.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan is assuring Nigerians that the Buhari presidency is yet to take any definitive stand on the nation's fuel subsidy regime and therefore the planned protests by the organized labor over rumors of a proposal to remove fuel subsidy is uncalled for. Addressing journalists after an audience with the president, Senator Lawan stated unequivocally that the Nigerian leader will not transfer the burden of the cost of subsidy to citizens.
That Mr. President never told anyone that the petroleum subsidy should be removed. I want to commend Mr. President for still keeping this philosophy of ensuring that the most ordinary Nigerian does not suffer in any way.
Although there are the top stories now, more news will come your way at 1 p.m.
You can NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android
Hello
app
and
on your
welcome
mobile
to Diplomatic
watch
Times.
NTA
This edition, we shall be examining Nigeria-Israel bilateral relations. Nigeria and Israel enjoy robust bilateral relations that have spanned over several decades. Enormous benefits to the governments and citizens of the two countries. For clarity's sake, Nigeria-Israel relations refers to bilateral diplomatic, cultural, and economic relations between the states of Israel and Nigeria. It is on record that Israel and Nigeria established diplomatic relations in 1960, that's shortly after Nigeria's independence. It is equally a notorious fact that during the 1960s and early 1970s, Israel played a significant role in the development of sub-Saharan Africa, including Nigeria. Hundreds of Israeli experts and volunteers were sent to help in the development and modernization of agriculture, education, and Nigeria's.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview channel 264, or live streaming via www.visiontv.co.uk. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Welcome to Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
The Republic of Benin was formerly known as Dahomey until the 1st of August 1960, when the country gained independence from France. Republic of Benin is a country in West Africa, bordered by Togo to the west, Nigeria to the east, Burkina Faso to the northwest, and Niger to the northeast. Benin Republic covers an area of about 114,763 square kilometers, and its population as of 2019 was estimated to be approximately 11.8 million people. Majority of this population lives on the small southern coastline of the Bight of Benin, part of the Gulf of Guinea in the northernmost tropical portion of the Atlantic Ocean. Many of these people are clustered near the port of Cotonou, the largest city and the most populous city because of its commercial viability. While Porto Novo remains the official capital of the country. The official language of Benin Republic is French. However, there are several indigenous languages such as Fon, Bariba, Yoruba, and Dendi. The largest religious group in Benin are the Roman Catholics, followed closely by Muslims, then the Vodun, commonly referred to as Voodoo outside the country. Benin is a tropical nation highly dependent on agriculture. In fact, more than half of the working population is said to be dependent on agriculture. The country is a large exporter of cotton and palm oil, with cotton accounting for about 40% of its GDP. Also, a sizable amount of offshore oil and solid mineral deposits such as iron ore and titanium are found in some parts of the country. Similarly, the deepwater port at Cotonou, which serves as a sea outlet for the Republic of Niger and as a secondary port for Nigeria, is one of the major sources of the country's foreign exchange through customs duties. Like most African countries, there are over 40 ethnic groups living in the country. These various groups settled in Benin at different times and have also migrated within the country. But the advent of the French colonial rule and subsequent close ties with France has left a deep impact on all aspects of cultural life amongst the people, especially among the educated and those in the southern cities. Each ethnic group also has its own centuries-old tradition, which itself often mixes with the French influence. However, in suburban and rural areas, traditional practices dominate cultural lifestyles where they practice religious rites and celebrate festivals with music and dance. The Beninese are firm when it comes to etiquettes. Good manners include taking time to greet people properly, although public displays of affection between members of the opposite sex is highly discouraged. While children are expected to be obedient and show respect for their elders, elders are in turn expected to show good morals. Offering food and drink to visitors is a key element of hospitality among the people, and to refuse such can be considered rude. Most people eat in the traditional lifestyle, using the fingers of the right hand, for it is perceived a bad habit to eat with the left hand or offer another person something with it. Traditional rhythms and dances play an important part in the everyday life of the average Beninese. The country is home to a vibrant and innovative music scene where native folk music combined with the Ghanaian high life music, the French cabaret, American rock and the Congolese rumba are often fused together or in parts to produce beautiful rhythms. It is no doubt that Africans are good and accommodating people, and the Beninese are certainly one of the numerous examples that portrays the unique nature of most Africans.
We formed the APC from day one with the intention of changing the direction of Nigeria. We believe Nigeria is an African power and can be a major powerhouse in world affairs. But to do that, we need to change our direction.
It can be done. This country cannot be written off. It can be done. And this country will still lead Africa. We're making steps, slow steps, moving on. I mean, it took the Americans 200 plus years to get where they are. We're moving.
Aksum was previously thought to have been founded by Sabians, an ancient people speaking an old South Arabian language who lived in what is today Yemen, in the southwest of the Arabian Peninsula. However, most scholars now agreed that prior to the arrival of the Sabians, an African settlement by name Agao people and other Ethiopian groups had already existed in the territory. Sabians' influence is now thought to have been minor, limited a few localities, and disappearing after a few decades or a century, perhaps representing a trading or military colony. The Aksumite Empire at its peak extended across most of present-day Eritrea, northern Ethiopia, Tigray province, western Yemen, southern Saudi Arabia, and Sudan. The capital city of the empire was Aksum, now in northern Ethiopia. Today a smaller community, the city of Aksum was once a bustling metropolis and cultural and economic center. By the reign of Indubis in the late 3rd century, the empire had begun minting its own currency. They used the name Ethiopia as early as the 4th century. By 350 AD, Aksum conquered the kingdom of Kush. After several years of military and political struggles, Yemen fell under the rule of the Aksumite general Abraha, who continued to promote the empire until his death, not long after which Yemen was conquered by the Persians. According to Monroe, these wars may have been Aksum's swan song as a great power, with an overall weakening of Aksumite authority, weak in finance as well as in manpower. Covering parts of what is now northern Ethiopia and Eritrea, Aksum was deeply involved in the trade network between the India and the Mediterranean, exporting ivory, tortoiseshell, gold, emeralds, and importing silk and spices. Aksum's access to the Red Sea and the Upper Nile enabled its strong navy to profit in trade between various African states, Nubia, Yemen, and Indian states. The empire traded with Roman traders as well as with Egyptian and Persian merchants. The empire was rich in gold and iron deposits. Salt was also in abundance and was widely traded. During the 2nd and 3rd centuries, the kingdom of Aksum continued to expand their control of the southern Red Sea basin. A caravan route to Egypt, which bypassed the Nile corridor entirely, was established. Aksum succeeded in becoming the principal supplier of African goods to the Roman Empire. The Aksumite Empire was notable for a number of achievements, such as its own alphabet, the Ge'ez alphabet, which was eventually modified to include vowels. Furthermore, in the early times of the empire, giant obelisks to mark emperors and noble tombs, underground grave chambers were constructed, the most famous of which was the obelisk of Aksum. After a second golden age in the early 6th century, the empire began to decline, eventually ceasing its production of coins in the early 7th century. There exist different hypotheses as to why the empire collapsed, but historians agree that climate changes must have greatly contributed to the fall of Aksum. Aksum lost its ability to control its own raw material sources, and that network collapsed. Relatively, local history holds that it is clear from contemporary sources that a female usurper did indeed rule the kingdom at this time, and that her reign ended sometime before 1003. After a short dark age, the Aksumite Empire was succeeded by the Agau-Zagwe dynasty in the 11th or 12th century, most likely around 1137, although limited in size and scope. However, Yekonu Amlak, who killed the last Zagwe king and founded the modern Solomonic dynasty around 1270, traced his ancestry and his right to rule from the emperor of Aksum, Dilna-Ud. It should be mentioned that the end of the Aksumite Empire didn't mean the end of the Aksumite culture and traditions.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
This is no doubt one of the most beautiful beaches on the African continent and indeed the world. It is the Diani Beach. Diani Beach is a major beach on the Indian Ocean coast of Kenya in Eastern Africa. It is located 30 kilometers south of Mombasa in Kwale County. It has been voted Africa's leading beach destination several times since 2015. The beach is about 17 kilometers long from the Congo River to the north and Galu Beach to the south. The water remains shallow near shore with some underwater sandbars near the surface which allow wading with a clear view of the sandy bottom. Inland from the beach, there is extensive vegetation including numerous palm trees which cover the coastal areas. The general area is known for its coral reefs, black and white colobus monkeys, and for the closely located Simba Hills National Reserve, a wildlife reserve which looks out over the Indian Ocean. Diani is one of the most prominent tourism resort areas of Kenya. Tourists who take time to visit this beautiful wonder of nature will surely have a wide range of things to do as part of their experiences during the visit. One of them is deep sea diving. While you engage in this, you will deeply experience and appreciate one of the most beautiful sea lives in the world. A tourist who wishes and can afford it can also skydive. This gives you an opportunity to experience the beach from the air. As it relates to the water, the beach offers you an avenue to engage in numerous water sports, among which are wind surfing and kite surfing, among others. While there, you can also make a day tour to Wasini Island, which is a whole day tour, and no doubt your joy for the visit is heightened. Another marvelous experience you can have is when you camp on the beach. Here, the point of camping is the Dewey Beach, and you are offered a unique camping experience. Also amazing is to ride on the camel and have an experience very rare to many. The list of the things you can do at Diani Beach is endless. Therefore, only a visit to Kenya, and more specifically to Diani Beach, will present you the opportunity to experience these and many more. Indeed, numerous restaurants and supermarkets are situated to take care of your food and other demands. So, visit Diani Beach, have a walk on the sand, and enjoy other numerous experiences that only a visit to the beach can offer. Surely, Diani Beach is one of the most beautiful paradise on earth on the Kenyan coast, East Africa, yet a blessing to the African continent.
Esports 24, where sports thrive.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk, app for iOS or Android. can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
This is NTA International.
This vaccine is safe and it has been certified safe and usable by NAFTA.
Every year, tourists from the world over troop to Nigeria in their thousands to experience firsthand the marvels of the African continent.
I love Nigeria.
Nigeria is beautiful.
I love Nigeria.
With natural and man-made tourist attraction.
Nigeria is a beautiful place. Nigeria is good.
The tourism sector is a preferred industry with sprawling savanna of the north and the thick mangrove forests of the south. Nigeria has very great potential for ecotourism. With more than 350 different ethnic groups, each with very rich cultural heritage, this land offers the very best in cultural tourism.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Thank you for joining us on the program from the National Assembly. I am Ignatius Nkwo. Well, the Senate has just reconvened for Wednesday, the 18th of January 2022. Well, the day's plenary from the order paper has quite a number of items for consideration. Well, from the order paper, the Senate will be considering 5 bills for first reading. And then the request of Mr. President, which came to the Senate yesterday for the confirmation of Namonso Ekanem from Akwa Ibom State and Mahmoud Magaji from Niger State as members of the Federal Judicial Service Commission, and the confirmation of Professor Mansuru Bin for appointment as new non-executive commissioner of the Nigerian Communications Commission. They are expected to be considered. Now, from the other paper as well, we've seen that the Senate has scheduled the reconsideration of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which Mr. President declined assent. Now, it's expected that that particular bill will now, the decision of the Senate will now be rescinded and then recommitted to the Committee of the Whole for reconsideration and then passage. And then the other paper there stated that the Senate, in fact, and the National Assembly at large has addressed the issues raised by Mr. President and then is trying to put down into consideration and then pass it again and then retransmit to the presidency for his assent. But well, with us here again is the Chairman, Senate Committee on Rules and Business, Senator Sadiq Umar, who will give us more explanations on what to expect on the floor today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we've seen the other paper and we've made some synopsis of what to expect. You know, apart from the Electoral Act, which is already on the schedule of other paper and confirmation of some appointment of Mr. President. What more do you think Nigerians should know on the floor today?
Well, as usual, like you said, we have the usual bills and communication from the executive for us to confirm some appointments, NCC and so on. But I think the most important one for us today on the floor of the House is recommitting of the Electoral Act bill, because elections are coming and we do not want anything that will interfere with the credibility of the 2023 election. And as you are aware of the controversy around, direct primary and all the options to be available, I think we've consulted with our constituents, we've consulted with stakeholders and the two houses, because we have to do it in unison. We intend to review that bill, see how it will serve the Nigerian people, serve the parties, and serve democracy for sustainability, stability, and reality. So that is what is going to be a key component of what is here. Of course, there are other pieces we are going to be taking from the Health Committee, and so on.
All right, but finally, do you think the Senate will conclusively consider that Electoral Act Amendment Bill today? Are you optimistic that the legislators, that is the senators, in this case, here in the chamber of the House on the Senate, are you optimistic that in the end of the day, this issue will be led to rest today?
Well, let me say something. Like I've always insisted, this night's National Assembly, particularly the Senate, which I belong to, is committed to delivering everything we commit to Nigerian people, is committed to making sure we give results, not just making noise. So this electoral bill is a priority, like I said. We don't want anything to interfere with the 2023 election. I assure you, by the grace of God, before the end of this week, this matter will be allowed to rest.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Now, as it stands, we'll now go straight to the chamber to follow the day's proceedings.
The Senate Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution will meet today, Wednesday, 19th January 2022, immediately after plenary sitting at Senate Meeting Room 221, Senate Building. Signed, Senator Oveomo Agege, Deputy President of the Senate, Chairman. Clerk. Later, from distinguished Senator Albert Basi Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast Senatorial District, Chairman, Senate Committee on Upstream Petroleum Resources, Your Excellency, special notification and invitation as guest of honor to our Thanksgiving service, commissioning of multipurpose recreational facility. We convey most respectfully our deepest respect and best wishes to you, and your family for a happy and prosperous New Year. Your Excellency, may I, on behalf of my family, my wife and family, invite you, the leadership, and the colleagues to attend our special Thanksgiving service in gratitude to the Almighty God for His benevolence and faithfulness to my family over the years. Our God is really worthy of our greatness. Our God is really worthy of our gratefulness. The theme of this celebration is, in court, Lord, we are grateful. End of quote. Psalm 9:1 and 1 Corinthians 15:57. And to commission our multipurpose recreation facility for our senatorial district at Ifa Ikwatak Park, Etoy, off Airport Road, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, on Saturday, January 29, 2022 by 10 a.m. The multipurpose facility sits on 2 hectares of land and has a 1,500 capacity event hall, recreational center, a standard football pitch, lawn tennis and basketball courts, an ICT skills acquisition center, as well as children playground. Also to be commissioned is the 1.3-kilometer Ifa-Ikwatakpan Road in Uyo local government area. These projects are our noble contribution towards enhancing the healthy living standards of our people. While we look forward to your kind presence and that of my colleagues, Your Excellency, please do accept the assurances of our highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Senator Albert Bas Akpan, OBA, or OBA, Akwa Ibom North East Senatorial District. Letter from distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele, MOB MOB, BA Hons, LLB Hons, LLM, FCI AB, Ekiti Central Senatorial District, Chairman Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters. Dear esteemed leader and patriot, letter of felicitation and notification on my intent to aspire for the governorship of Ekiti State. I sincerely wish you the compliment of this Yuletide season. May the joy, goodness, and celebration of the season never elude us. Permit me to use this medium in congratulating you on your election and as an ESCO member of the All Progressive Congress. Is this letter mine? Thereby affording you an opportunity to be counted among those privileged to lead our dear party at ward, local government and state levels in Ekiti State chapter. Please accept my sincere appreciation and unreserved gratitude to you, your family, and your political associates for your continued support, solidarity, and encouragement towards the growth of our party as well as our dear state over the years. Distinguished colleagues, letter from Senator Betty Okagu Apiafi. His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan. Notification of death of Mrs. Cecilia Ibie Rebo Okagwa. On behalf of my family, I write to notify you of the passing unto eternal glory of my beloved mother, Mrs. Cecilia Ibirebo Okagwo, at the age of 86 years after a brief illness. Until her death, my mother was a community leader, a devout Christian, and a philanthropist. She devoted her time and resources to the service of God and humanity. She is survived by her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, and in-laws. She will be buried on the 5th of February 2022 at her hometown, Okobo, Abuja, in Abuja, Odua local government area of River State. We shall appreciate your prayers and esteemed presence at the funeral service. May her gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Please accept the assurances of my highest regards. Signed, Senator Betty Okagwa Apiafi. Petitions. Distinguished Senator Ayo Akin-Elure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akin-Elure, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, presentation of petition not late but referred to the Committee on Ethics from the Office of the President of the Senate. Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, in line with Order 41.1 and 3, which is to present to the Senate some petition yet to be laid from the Office of the President of the Senate, in order to officially place the petition in the public domain to the floor of the Senate and for the votes and proceeding to capture the approval for referral. Mr. President, colleagues, below the summary of petition received from the Office of the President of the Senate for use of reference. 1. Prince Bayo Omotubora against the management of Adron Homes Hotel, subject matter of the petition, the cold-blooded murder of Olawale Adeniji at Adron Homes Hotel, thick plot to cover it up by police, and the unaccounted 2 million offered to up the murder by Adron Homes. They plea for justice to prevail. 2. In the Aircon Charles Udon, on behalf of Nofin Offshore, respondent, Delta Tech Offshore, Chevron Nigeria Limited, and Robertson Energy Limited. Subject matter, petition for investigation, recovery and prosecution on the deliberate and fraudulent refusal to pay outstanding charter fee to Northern Offshore Limited, owners of the vessel MV Windport Regent, by Delta Tech Offshore Limited, Chevron Nigeria Limited, and Robertson Energy Limited. 3. Comrade Mohammed Tahir, on behalf of the amalgamated, reminder on the demand for urgent intervention for the protection of members' rights and compensation of members killed and property destroyed during the EndSARS and violence that erupted at Chacha Ibadan, Oyo State, and other parts of Nigeria. 4. Enenayi Edidion Oko, on Council of Oro Traditional Rulers. Respondent, oil farms, shipping farms, and government MDAs operating within Oro environment, such as Mobile Producing Nigeria Unlimited, Total F, and Nigeria Limited. Oriental Energy, Nimasa, and others. Subject matter: although environmental maximally exploited, yet no environmental regulation, and compliant to local content laws, a critical review of Harmful Waste Act, environmental audit, Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010, and Petroleum Industrial Act 2021, special case, 5 billion naira each their valuation. And finally, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, Ife Anyekchuku Owoshuku against Inspector Bemiteko Abiodun and Mr. Uche Eze, request for prompt action in pending petition against Inspector Bemiteko Abiodun and Mr. Uche Eze, who has confessed their crime in Dimu Area M Command. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petitioners seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, distinguished colleagues, to seek the indulgence of the Senate to lay the petitions before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. President.
Is any of the petitioners seeking a judicial remedy?
None of them, Mr. President.
You may lay the petitions, please.
Thank you.
The petitions are referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Any more petitions, please? Petition.
Point of order,
petition.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Any petition?
Point of order.
Senator Buhari.
Mr. President, I come under personal explanation, Order 42 of our new rule. With your permission, can I read?
You may read.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought.
Yes, you may proceed, please.
Mr. President, the demise of the former governor of Oyo State, His Excellency Otoba Dr. Christopher Adebayo Alao Akala. The Senate note with grief the death of astute politician and former governor of Oyo State, His Excellency Dr. Christopher.
Point of order, Senator George Thompson Sekibo.
Mr. President, Senator George Thompson Sekibo. Or make noise or disturbance to interrupt him. 10. During a sitting, all senators shall be silent or shall confer only in undertones. The chamber is not this, sir.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator George Thompson Sekibo, for citing the order asking us to talk only low tones if we must. So your order is fully and completely upheld. Distinguished colleagues, the chamber is noisy. We can still talk, but in low tones, so that we are able to listen to our colleagues when they make submissions. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate note with grief the death of an astute politician and the former governor of Oyo State, His Excellency Dr. Christopher Adebayo Alao Akala, who passed on Wednesday, 12 January 2022 at the age of 71. Mr. President, the Senate also note Otumba Adebayo Alao-Akala was born to the family of late Oba Doyin and late Deborah Adeboyin Akala Kompa on the 3rd of June 1950 in the ancient city of Ogbomoso, Oyo State. Aware that he had his elementary school at Osupa Baptist Day School, Ogbomoso, before he proceeded to Ghana Middle School, Tamale. He passed Staff College in 1990, Diploma in Business Administration in 1998, Doctor of Law, Honorary, Ladoke Akintola University in 2006. The Senate recalled that Akala had a stint as a classroom teacher at the Baptist Day Modern School, Ogbomoso, before enlisting into the Nigerian police as a cadet inspector in 1974. He attended the Nigerian Police College in Ikeja for his training, the Metropolitan Police Training College in London, the Administrative Staff College, Topo in Badagry in 1985, the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, NIIA, Victoria Island, Lagos Police Staff College, Jos, Command and Staff College, Jaji, and Institute of Training of Senior Military Paramilitary Schools. Aware that Otumba Alao-Akala, a detribalized police officer who used his position to establish relationships across the country, served in various capacities, among others, DPO, Area Commander, Staff College, Staff Administrator, the ADC to the Inspector General of Police. He also participated as a Nigerian delegate to 2 Interpol conferences in Nice, France, and Malaga in Spain. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate further aware that after a distinguished meritorious career in the Nigerian police force, he retired as an assistant commissioner of police in 1995 before he returned to his own base, Ogbomoso, to join politics. The Senate recognized that Otumba Adebayo Alao-Akala had a successful political career. He served as a local government chairman, deputy governor of the state, and the executive governor of Oyo State. The Senate recalled that he was a writer and author of numerous publications in policing and local government. His publications include Training of Police Cadets, Inspector, Prospects and Problems, Police and the Media, a Critical Approach in June 1990, Conflict Resolution and Crime in Local Government, September 2004. The Senate further aware that the demise of former governor of Oyo State, His Excellency Dr. Christopher Adebayo Alao-Akala, is not only a loss to his family, but also to the good people of Ogbomoso, Oyo State, and the entire nation. The Senate accordingly resolved to observe a mini silence in his honor, urged the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to send a delegate to visit the government of Oyo State and the people of Oyo State. Urge the federal government of Nigeria to immortalize him. I so submit, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Abdul Buhari. Because you have come under our Standing Order 42, the new personal explanation, this matter, the issue is not open to debate. And we'll observe a minute silence in honor of late Governor, His Excellency Governor Alao-Akala. So 1 minute silence, please, in his honor. May the gentle soul of the former governor of Oyo State, late Alao Akala rest in perfect peace. Amen.
Point of order.
The Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Niger North Senatorial District. Mr. President, I want to come under Order 41 and 51. With your permission, I may want to read.
You may proceed.
41. Order 41. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all the senators, the matter shall stand over till the next legislative day. 3. A senator moving a motion under combined orders 41 and 51 shall ensure that copies of the motion are available for all senators when approval to move the motion is granted. 4. No more than one such motion may be made at the same sitting. Order 51. Dispensing with notice. Notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present. Mr. President, the senatorial district I represent is bordered by Kaduna State, Zamfara State, and Kebbi State. And there has been a renewed attack by bandits and terrorists in these areas. And it is on this that I want to move this motion.
You may proceed.
Point of order.
Sorry, I will put the question.
Yes, that's what I want.
Distinguished colleagues, the Deputy Chief Whip has come under our new orders 41 and 51, seeking our endorsement to present a motion about insecurity in his senatorial district. He needs our approval of at least 1/5 of senators. Those in favor of his request, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have. Continue.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Venus Yaro, Adama South. I come under Order 41, subsection 3. A senator moving a motion under combined orders 41 and 51 shall ensure that copies of the motion are available for all senators when approval to move the motion is granted. I have not received a copy of that motion, and I don't...
Distinguished Senator Venus Yaro, he barely stood up. I think you should have waited for him to start first before you complain. However, I will not rule you out of order because you have reminded him, and I can see they are giving you a copy. So your point of order is noted. Continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, copies of the motion is being distributed as I have complied fully with that provision. Thank you. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, renew kidnapping and banditry attacks on communities in Mariga, Mashegu, and Kontagora local government areas of Niger North Senatorial District. The Senate note the disturbing trend of renewed kidnapping and banditry attacks on communities of Mariga, Mashegu, and Kontagora local government areas of Niger State. The Senate recall that following the massive onslaught against criminal elements and bandits operating in eastern part of Sokoto State and Zamfara, there was massive movement of these escaping bandits and their criminal elements into Niger State, specifically into Mariga local government area of Niger State. The Senate concerned that these bandits continuously attack communities in Mariga local government, leading to massive internal displacement of many communities. Currently, villagers have moved out of Maundu, Alabani, Sabaji, in Berry Ward, and over 20 villages are now empty in Galma, Wamba Ward, and scanty residents in Ukuru, Igoma, Maruba, and Ruka villages in Bobi Ward. Communities that border Kaduna, Zamfara, and Kebbi State located in Mariga local government area, namely Galma, Makichi, Makogi, Namaforo, Nasarawa, and Kwananduchi, are constantly being attacked by bandits, and over 15 persons killed in Bombi Ward of Mariga local government. The Senate disturbed that some notorious bandits in their numbers operated for hours in 5 villages on Friday, 14 January 2022, where several cattle were roasted as villagers fled their homes. The bandits first attacked Tunganrua village in the morning, later moved to Tungan Maje and also roasted cattle. The same day, they attacked Kawo Mashegu, where 2 people were killed, 4 persons adopted, and proceeded also to attack Tungan Magaji village, where several cattle were also taken away. After several operations, 17 persons were abducted, including 2 persons who went to deliver ransom. The same day, Farin Shinge village, a few kilometers away from Kontagora town, was also attacked and 2 persons kidnapped. The Senate, worried that the bandits are in the habit of burning down villages, burning farms with agricultural produce unharvested, stealing the home-stored foods of villages, they attack with the danger of those who brave the odds to go to their farms for harvesting being kidnapped or killed. Many villages are now IDPs in places like Bangi, Mangoro, and other safe locations within Mariga local government with no food or amenities for their livelihood. The Senate further recalled that President Muhammadu Buhari had ordered the nation's armed forces for a major military operations in Niger State, which has faced continual attacks on its communities by bandits and remnants of Boko Haram terrorists fleeing theaters of war in the northeastern and northwestern parts of the country. The Senate strongly suggests that the operation should be comprehensive enough to close the various parts that gives the bandits and fleeing terrorists access to safe haven in various parts of Niger State, especially in Mariga, Mashegu, Magama, and Borgu local government of Niger North Senatorial District, and Rafi and Shiro local government of Niger East Senatorial District. Accordingly, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate resolved as follows. 1. Observe a 1-minute silence for those who lost their lives. 2. Urge the armed forces and other security agencies involved in the ordered operations to closely monitor and block the escape paths or routes used by the bandits and fleeing terrorists to forestall their relocation to safe havens in other parts of Niger State. 3. Urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to provide food and other livelihood support amenities to affected villages and those who are now IDPs in Mariga, Mashegu, Kontagora, and Borgu local government areas of Niger North Senatorial District. Mr. President, thank you for this opportunity. I so move.
Senator Bima Mohamed Enagi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my highly respected, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Bima Mohamed Enagi. I represent the people of Niger South. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, who were all here yesterday when a similar motion was moved in respect of Niger East. Today we are talking about Niger North. This is a clear indication that the terrorists have declared war on parts of Niger State. This issue has been discussed since 2019 when I came to the chamber many times, but the situation is getting worse. I don't know, Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, what next that this chamber is expected to do? We will continue to talk. We will not shut our mouth. As long as the terrorists continue to terrorize our people, we will continue to come here and we will call on the security agents to do the needful. The terrorists must be crushed. We cannot continue and allow our people to be denied going to the farms Our children denied going to schools. Our women denied going to markets. The situation is getting worse in Niger State. I stand here today to support the motion raised by my colleague, and I'm calling on all our colleagues here present that the needful must be done by our security agents. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, let's go to the prayers seeking. Prayer 1. Observe a 1 minute silence for those who lost their lives. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say neither. Prayer 2. Urge the armed forces and other security agencies involved in the ordered operations to closely monitor and block the escape paths routes used by the bandits and fleeing terrorists to forestall their relocation to safe havens in other parts of Niger State. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say neither. And prayer 3. Urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to provide food and other livelihood support amenities to affected villages and those who are now IDPs in Mariga, Mashegu, Kwantagora, and Borgu local government areas of Niger North Senatorial District. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say neither. 1 minute silence, please. May the souls of our departed compatriots rest in perfect peace. Amen.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Excellent.
Senator Taslim Folarin.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. My name remains Taslim Folarin, and I represent Oyo Central. Mr. President, I'm coming under Order 42. May I read? By the
Which order is that?
42.
42.
Yes, sir.
Personal explanation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may proceed, please.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate. But no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise from the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when is leave to make it stop. Mr. President, I spoke to you this morning regarding the demise of the late Olubadan of Ibadan. May I continue, sir?
You may proceed, please.
Thank you, sir. The Senate notes that His Imperial Majesty Oba Saliu Adetuji was born in Ibadan on the 26th of August 1928 as the first of 17 children of Raji Olaiwola Adetunji and Amokbe Adetunji. The Senate notes that he grew up learning vocational jobs until he took up fashion designing as a means of livelihood in Lagos. While working as a fashion designer, he delved into musical record marketing until in 1960, when he founded the first of 3 record labels called Babaji Records, which housed notable Fuji acts like Wasiu Ayinde Marshal, KS1. The Senate is aware that the late Oba Adetuji joined the Ibadan traditional chieftaincy line by becoming the Jagun Balogun of Ibadan in 1976 as his first step towards ascending the throne of Olubadan of Ibadan land. He was crowned the 41st Olubadan on March 6, 2016 by the late Oyo State Governor, Senator Abiola Ajimobi. Saddened to learn that Oba Saliu Adetuji passed on to join his ancestors on the 2nd of January 2022 at the ripe age of 93. Note that during the 6-year reign of Oba Saliu Adetuji, his domain of Ibadan witnessed immense economic growth, peace, stability, and prosperity.
The Senate accordingly resolved to observe a 1-minute silence in honor of the late Imperial Majesty Oba Saliu Adetunji. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Teslim Folari. Because you have come under our Order 42, personal explanation, this issue is not open to debate, and therefore there will be no intervention from our colleagues. However, we observe a minute silence in honor of late Olubadan Oba Saliu Adetunji. 1 minute silence, please. May the soul of late Olubadan of the land, Oba Saliu Adetunji, rest in perfect peace. Amen. Point of order, Senator Idigian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Idigian from Plateau North, rising under Order 42 to raise a matter of personal explanation over the spate of insecurity in my constituency. And since the order has been copiously quoted this morning, Mr. President, I will request that you consider it as read so that I take this a personal explanation.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, I'm rising to bring to the attention of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria the spate of insecurity that is characterizing my constituency with terror attacks and increasing wave of kidnapping. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want the Senate to note that my communities of Tiana Village in Riom local government and Ancha Village of Irigwelan in Basa local government witnessed terror attacks leading to the death of 23 persons. 5 persons were killed in Tiana Village of local government and 18 persons were killed at Ancha Village in Irigwelan of Basa local government on Monday the 10th and Tuesday the 11th of January respectively. And this has disrupted the relative peace in the constituency. Mr. President, I'm also notifying the Senate of the increasing cases of kidnapping in Plateau State, particularly in my constituency. And the kidnappers are targeting traditional rulers for huge ransom demands. The latest being the case of the abduction of the Gomre Vuan, His Royal Highness Dagyang Gudbalat, which is coming shortly after the abduction of the Sumpiam, His Royal Highness Charles Mato Dakat, and of course, a former Algon chairman in the state, Honorable Keminshe, and 3 students of Plateau State Polytechnic also abducted by the kidnappers. I, however, want the Senate to note that the abducted students and the traditional rulers were rescued by the Operation Safe Haven military-led security outfit in synergy with local vigilante and hunters, as reported by the spokesperson of the Operation Safe Haven in Jos. I am requesting the Senate that the Operation Safe Haven military-led security outfit should be directed to deal decisively and frontally with the terrorists attacking, killing, and displacing communities now that all bandits have been gazetted and formally classified as terrorists by the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Also call on the same Operation Safe Haven to leverage on the synergy it is building with local vigilante and hunters, which facilitated the timely rescue of kidnapped victims, to tackle terrorists attacking, killing, and destroying host communities in Plateau State, and also to direct the IGP, Inspector General of Police, to reinforce security for traditional rulers in view of their vulnerability as easy targets of abduction by kidnappers. And finally, I'm urging the Senate to observe a minute's silence in honor of the 23 persons killed by terrorists at Tiana, Erium local government, and Anancha in Bassa local government. That is my personal explanation and plea to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the security situation in my constituency. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, distinguished. Because you have come under Order 42, this is not subject to debate. However, we'll observe a minute's silence in honor of our compatriots who lost their lives as a result of the bandits and terrorist attacks. So let's observe a 1 minute silence, please. May the souls of our departed compatriots rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill in the name of distinguished Senator Stella Odua on the 10th Fund Act 2011 Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, 10th Fund Act 2011 Amendment Bill 2022, SB 342, first reading.
10th Fund Act 2011 Amendment Bill 2022, SB 342, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill in the name of distinguished Senator George Sekibo on the Child's Right Welfare Commission Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Child Rights Welfare Commission Establishment Bill 2022, SB 568, first reading.
Child Rights Welfare Commission Establishment Bill 2022, SB 568, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, The third business of the day is the presentation of our bill sending in the name of distinguished Senator Gashon Bass on the Chartered Institute of Professional Secretarial Staff of Nigeria, Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Institute of Professional Secretariat Staff of Nigeria, Bill 2022, SB 791, first reading.
Chartered Institute of Professional Secretariat Staff of Nigeria, Bill 2022, SB 791, first reading taken. Of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill in the name of distinguished Senator Kabir Abdullahi Barkia on the National Poverty Alleviation Management Commission Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Poverty Alleviation Management Commission Establishment 2022, SB 883, first reading.
National Poverty Alleviation Establishment Bill 2022, SB 883, first reading taken. Of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Godia Apashiki on the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund Act, Cap N88, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund NSITF Act, Cap N88, LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2022, SB 894, first reading.
Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund NSITF Act of N88 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill SB 894, first reading taken. Of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as members of the Federal Judicial Service Commission in accordance with the provisions of Section 154 of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended. They are as follows. Number one, Namonso Ekanem, San, Akwa Ibom, representing the South-South Zone. Two, Mahmoud Abubakar Magaji, San, from Niger State, representing the North Central Zone. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the Senate to refer the request of Mr. President to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President CNC on the confirmation of the nominations of the persons named for appointment as members of the Federal Judicial Service Commission, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have. The request of Mr. President CNC is referred to the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to report back within 2 weeks. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of Professor Mansour Awol Bindawa for appointment as the new non-executive commissioner of the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, in accordance with Section 8, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Communications Act. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so move.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I so second the motion ably moved by the leader.
Distinguished colleagues, Those in favor of the motion that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President C in C on the confirmation of the nomination of Professor Mansour Awole Binda for appointment as new non-executive commissioner of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President C in C is referred to the Committee on Communications for further legislative action and to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues. The third order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the withholding of assent of the Electoral Act No. 6, 2010 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021 and its recommittal to the Committee of the Whole. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move that motion.
You may proceed, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader, where is
It's on the order paper.
Okay, go ahead, yeah. Go ahead.
The motion is on the order paper.
Yeah, it's okay, go ahead.
But they can distribute the...
Yeah, they will distribute, go ahead.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, my motion is on the withholding of assent of Electoral Act No. 6, 2010 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021 and its recommittal to the Committee of the Whole. Senate recalls that the President Commander-in-Chief has signified the withholding of his assent to the Electoral Act No. 6, 2010 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021, which was passed by the National Assembly and forwarded to the President for assent on the 18th of November 2021. Senate knows that the rationale for withholding the asset borders on his observation on clause 84 of that bill. Desirous of the need to address the observation by Mr. President Commander-in-Chief and make necessary amendments in accordance with Order 87C of Senate Standing Orders 2022 as amended, and in order to secure this very important plank, vital plank of our legislative agenda, and relying also on Order 1B and Order 52.6 of the Senate Standing Orders 2022 as amended, the Senate, according to the resolve, to rescind its decision on the affected clause as part and recommit the same to the Committee of the Whole for reconsideration. I so move.
Any comments? Leader of Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, I rise to move a motion for this Senate to resume sitting in the Committee of the Whole for further to reconsider this motion. I so submit, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion, no, the minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, there is only a clause here for us to consider, and that is the clause 84 on the nomination of candidates by parties. Those in favor that this clause 84 stands part of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move a motion that this distinguished chamber resolve to back to plenary in order for the chairman to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the Senate reverse to plenary for the charge to report progress, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Ibrahim, you are raising your hand.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, but it seems I observe the retained aye compared to the provision of the bill. That's where I have observation.
Okay.
The principal act, the past bill provided for presidential convention to be at federal capital, whereas what we are passing now is reverting back to each state. I wouldn't know whether that's what the committee is recommending.
Mr. Chairman, sir, because of the significance of what we are doing today, because the entire country is interested, it would have been better if we go through this thing word by word.
One by one.
Not the way we have just done. That is my view, sir. Because we have not been given the opportunity to even go through what people have brought. I need to contribute. So it will have been better. No, we have just receiving this.
Distinguished Senator Manager.
Yes, sir.
You know you are all in this thing.
Yes.
When the Senate leader presented his motion, I asked for any comments.
My hand was up, sir.
Okay, I didn't see your hand.
My hand was up, sir.
Now, the only thing, you may sit down because it's not going to be a debate. I'm just trying to explain. Yesterday, we agreed here that we just amend this section, this clause, to allow, to make it possible for the country to have a new electoral law based on the observations raised by Mr. President. You contributed very well and meaningfully too that we do that. And all that the Senate leader did is a recommittal. That's all. There's nothing new in it. You know, and it's only one clause. So, distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the Electoral Act Number 6, 2010 repeal and enactment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Clause 84 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion that the chair reports progress.
Leader, I reported progress.
You have already reported, but?
Already.
I'm sorry.
Distinguished colleagues, please. The chamber is noisy.
That's the what?
Leader of the Senate.
The convention is just The fourth order of the day is the consideration of the report. Order! The fourth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Aviation of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency Act Cap N90, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, repeal and reenactment bill 2022. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we report that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, 8th December 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi, Chairman of the Committee on Aviation, to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi, Kogi West.
Mr. President, I rise to move the motion that the Senate will consider a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency Act, Cap N90, Law of the Federation of Nigeria 2010, and to enact the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency Act for the purposes of providing effective air navigation services in Nigeria, ensuring safety and regulatory of air navigation in Nigeria, and to do any other responsibility. I hereby move, Mr. President.
I need a seconder. Distinguished Senator Professor Nora Ladi Dadut. You are only to second it. You are only to second the motion. Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion. Chief Whip, those in favor of the motion that the Senate consider the request of Mr. Presidency in C. Sorry. Those who motion that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Aviation on the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, say aye. Those against, say nay. Distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi, you may present the motion.
We have to go back to it. No, it's a fundamental issue we are raising.
Chief. Yeah. What is the problem? They say you don't get
Senator Smart Adeyemi, present your report, please.
Procedures are for direct primaries. But if you do direct primaries, you vote in one place. But when you say for the local person that I want to adopt system indirect
you go and tell them. That's not a major problem. Please present your report.
Mr. President, this bill seeks to amend the existing Act of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency to meet the challenges of modern-day aviation industry. More importantly, Mr. President, this bill is seeking to expand the scope of operation of the Airspace Management Agency to be able to accommodate recent developments in the industry within and outside our nation. This bill, Mr. President, is equally trying to enhance the agency to be self-sustaining by way of generating revenue and managing its affairs with revenue accruing to it through charges.
Just hold on a bit. Distinguished colleagues, distinguished colleagues, please, leader, please let me see you for a minute.
Okay, when is...
Well, at the moment, the Senate has reconsidered the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2010. Now, the Senate has addressed all the issues and concerns raised by Mr. President as reason for not assenting to the bill. As it stands, the Senate, the version now that the Senate has passed, now makes it open and leaving the decision to decide mode of party primaries to the discretion of political parties, which could either be direct, indirect, or by consensus.
The amendments are not more many. So not also the provision. So I saw submit.
Well, with this passage, this is the third time that the Senate, in fact, the National Assembly will be passing the same Electoral Act Amendment Bill. But there are other issues that are very significant in that bill as well, apart from the mode of party primaries.
It has been brought to my notice the issues some of our colleagues.
Well, this includes the provision of legal backing for card readers, providing electoral umpires the discretion to decide whether to transmit election results electronically, and also the review of campaign spendings.
Appointees, that is also germane, but we can achieve that administratively. It's part of the cleaning up. So we leader and the secretariat, we clean it up. The observations raised are really genuine observations, but we will deal with that administratively. Is that okay? Yeah. Thank you.
So make it one venue.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for raising those issues. Yeah. Okay. Senator Smart Ademi.
Mr. President, this bill is seeking to further empower the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency to be able to effectively generate more revenue and meet challenges of the agency, so that the agency can carry out its responsibilities as it affects air navigation within.
Distinguished colleagues, I thought we had finished with that. Please, Chief Whip, please let them leave the DSP alone. Point of order.
Mr. President, I come under Order 55.3. The rule says every senator, when he or she comes into the chamber, shall take his or her seat and shall not at any time stand in any of the passages or gangways. Mr. President, look at them standing. It's against the
Distinguished Albert, Senator Albert. Distinguished colleagues, please, I think we should respect ourselves. It's not right. Our colleagues cited an order and we should respect the order. So I sustain your order fully, completely, and totally. Senator Smart Adim, you have to round up now, even though nobody listens, I think.
Mr. President, a bill for an act to repeal Nigerian Airspace Management Agency Act and to reenact certain sections that will enable the agency to meet the challenges of ensuring effective air navigation services in Nigeria, ensuring safety and regulation of air navigation not only in Nigeria but as affects other airlines that will be using our airspace. This bill is to enhance the effectiveness of the Airspace Management Agency to be able to raise enough revenue to meet the day-to-day administration of this agency, and equally to ensure that this agency is capable of ensuring effective air navigation by acquiring modern-day equipment that are needed for this industry. The sections that have been amended in this bill, Mr. President, are very few, but they are very important, and these are sections that will ensure that NAMA, as an agency, is able to meet its challenges. Our airspace is one of the largest in Africa. Taking a look at the number of passengers that traverse the length and breadth of our nation. For instance, the Muritala Mohammed Airport in Lagos annually do record between 18 to 20 million passengers. The same thing with Abuja and a few others. So our airspace is very important not only to us as Nigerians, but indeed to the continent Africa. So, Mr. President, I appeal to my colleagues to support these few amendments that will further enhance the safety of our airspace. I so submit.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate resolves in the Committee of the Whole to consider this report.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this Senate do move into Committee of the Whole to consider this report.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report clause by clause, say aye. Those against any ayes. Distinguished colleagues, this bill is not a controversial bill and has 57 clauses. Leader. Those in favor that clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, establishment of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, clause 4, and clause 5, tenure of office, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. Those in favor that clause 6, clause 7, functions of the agency, clause 8, clause 9, and clause 10. Stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay.
Well, this is where we round off today's live broadcast of Senate plenary. At the moment, Senate has reconsidered and passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2010. Now, the bill now provides that political parties will decide to adopt direct, indirect, or consensus in choosing their candidates. This is where we'll now hand over to our studios to continue with our scheduled program for the day. I am Ignatius Nkwo, and on behalf of our outside broadcast crew here at the National Assembly, we'll say enjoy the rest of our programs.
You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Welcome to Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
party, we formed the APC from day one with the intention of changing the direction of Nigeria. We believe Nigeria is an African power and can be a major powerhouse in world affairs. But to do that, we need to change our direction.
It can be done. This country cannot be written off. It can be done. And this country will still lead Africa. We're making steps, slow steps, moving on. I mean, it took the Americans 200 plus years to get where they are. We're moving.
My name is Boss Mustafa, the Secretary to the Government and the Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. I've just had the rare privilege of taking my first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and I can tell you that we are doing very well in terms of our response and the administration of the vaccines all over the country. As strategic leaders, we are supposed to lead by example, and the President did precisely that on Saturday with the Vice President, and we are continuing in that particular direction. The essence of taking these vaccines is to help us really fight this COVID-19 virus, and the combination of the non-pharmaceutical measures and the vaccine is the way to go in 2021 and thereafter.
Currently, there are more than 350 tribes in Nigeria. It is worth mentioning that they usually function in harmony with each other, but at the same time, all of them are quite different and unique, especially when it comes to native foods and cultural delicacies. Their food mainly depends on the ingredients that are produced in that particular area. It's another episode of Bon Appetit, a culinary adventure with I, Saratu Said Churi. Today on the program, we shall be showcasing those people in Nigeria who believe that it takes an entire village to raise a bride. You want to know more about them? Then let's learn a bit about the Nupes of Nigeria.
The Nupe people are called different names by various tribes in Nigeria. For example, the Yoruba refer to them as Tapa. The Hausas call them Nufawa. Gwaris refer to them as Anupe, while the Nupe people refer to themselves as Nupe Chiji. The Nute comprises other related ethnic groups or sub-tribes, namely Beni, Benu,